My beloved child, listen to me in the deepest place of your heart, for what I am teaching you is not only how to look at people, nor merely how to discern who is sincere and who only passes through your life with gentle words. I am leading you into a holier maturity, the ability to recognize me amid the mixed voices of the world. There are sounds that seem very soothing, yet carry no life. There are promises that stir your heart, yet do not bring you closer to the light. There are presences that make you think you are being comforted, yet quietly pull you away from peace. Therefore, I do not want you to live only by the feeling of a moment. I want you to learn the difference between what merely moves your heart and what truly comes from me. As it is written, your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, this is the way. Walk in it. Isaiah 30:21. I still speak to you, not through forceful noise, but through a gentle voice, strong enough to keep you from losing your way. My child, I know your heart is tender. I know that many times you have opened yourself with the hope that others would understand. Cherish and respond to the sincerity you offered. I do not blame you for loving deeply, nor do I rebuke you for believing with all your purity. A heart that knows how to love is not weakness. It is a garden I have placed within you, where seeds of kindness, hope, and mercy can grow. But beloved, a precious garden must have a holy fence, not so that you become cold, closed off, or suspicious of everyone, but so that the beauty within you will not be trampled by feet that do not know how to honor it. That is why my word still stands alive. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. I am not telling you to shut the door of your heart. I am teaching you who may enter, who should remain outside, and what must first be brought before me, before you give your trust completely. There will be times when it hurts to realize that something is not what you once believed it to be. There may be someone you thought was a safe place, yet I allow the light to shine upon them, and you begin to see the emptiness within their words. There may be a connection you once treasured, but when I place my hand upon it, you begin to recognize that it is not leading you into life, but slowly draining your soul. Little by little, do not call that awakening a loss. For often, what I remove from your hands is the very thing that has been silently chaining you. Do not call the breaking of an illusion a failure, because when the veil falls, you are finally free to see with eyes that have been anointed. As the Lord has said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. Truth may pierce your heart at first, but it does not come to destroy you. It comes to rescue you from what disguises itself as love, yet does not carry the nature of love. Remember Samuel when he was still a child in the temple. That night, he heard a voice calling his name, but at first he did not recognize it as the voice of God. He ran to Eli, thinking the voice had come from a man, but after several times, he was taught to answer, "Speak, for your servant hears." 1 Samuel 3:10. Do you see? Beloved, even one who was called from childhood still had to learn how to distinguish the voice of heaven from the voice of man. I do not condemn you for the times you have been mistaken. I am patiently training you. There are seasons when I allow you to hear many different voices, not to confuse you, but to mature you in discernment. The closer you remain to me, the clearer my voice will become, the more familiar you become with my presence. The less able counterfeit voices will be to deceive your soul, no matter how sweet they may sound. Therefore, do not be afraid of the process through which I am leading you. I do not place you among trials to watch you stumble. I place you within holy lessons to lift you beyond your former immaturity. You are no longer the one who must chase after every fluctuation within your heart. You no longer have to believe every emotion that rises within you as though it were the final voice of truth. Emotions may tell you what is moving inside, but only I can show you the path you must take. There are times when your heart wants to hold on, yet I say, let go. There are times when fear tells you to close yourself off, yet I invite you to step forward. There are times when loneliness makes you want to accept an impure connection, yet the Holy Spirit whispers that you are worthy of being preserved for something better. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. That soundness of mind is the grace that helps you love without becoming blind, trust without losing discernment, and open your heart while still standing in the light. I want you to understand this with your whole soul. Clarity does not make the love within you smaller. It makes that love purer. When you allow me to guard your heart, you do not become hardened in the way of the world. You become steady in gentleness, tender without being easily pulled away, kind without abandoning yourself. True love does not require you to be blind in order to prove your loyalty. True love does not force you to remain silent before what makes your soul uneasy. True love will have my peace as its witness, uprightness as its foundation, and enough light that you do not have to live in confusion. As it is written, the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy. James 3:17. What comes from me does not merely move your emotions, it also makes you purer, more peaceful, and nearer to me. So when I open your eyes to see clearly a person, a circumstance, or a bond, receive it as mercy, not as punishment. I love you too much to let you be led away by appearances. I guard you too deeply to let you keep entrusting your soul to places that do not know how to preserve it. I do not want you to live in suspicion, but neither do I want you to live in unguarded innocence. There is a holy balance I am teaching you, a heart open to what is good, yet closed to deception, mercy always ready to forgive, yet wisdom knowing how to set boundaries, faith still pure, yet no longer enchanted by what is empty. Stay close to me, my beloved child. Bring every emotion, every relationship, every decision, and every inner calling before my presence. Do not rush to give an answer simply because your heart is stirred. Do not rush to step in simply because a door has opened. Not every open door is opened by me, and not every delay is a refusal. There are times when I hold you back because there is still something ahead that you cannot yet see. There are times when I slow you down so you will not enter a place that would wound you. There are times when I allow something to be exposed, not so that you become bitter, but so that you may be protected before it is too late. The Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. Psalm 121:7. I do not only keep your body from danger, I also keep your heart from invisible chains. And now, walk in peace, not the peace of one who understands everything, but the peace of one who knows they are being led. I am with you in every new realization, every act of letting go, every moment when you choose to listen to my voice instead of the voice of fear or passing desire. You will no longer be blinded by darkness as before, because the light I am placing within you will grow clearer and clearer. You will no longer be held back by falsehood, because my truth is raising you to stand. You will love more deeply, yet also more wisely. You will trust more beautifully, yet also more firmly. You will open your heart to what I give, but you will no longer trade your peace in order to hold on to what I have not chosen. Remember, beloved, I do not take away what truly belongs to you. I only separate you from what hinders you from receiving the better portion. And as you walk with me, my voice will become a lamp beneath your feet, a light upon your path, and a gentle refuge for the heart that has learned to love in holy wisdom. My beloved child, There are seasons when I do not only teach you how to walk, but also teach you how to hear rightly. For not every voice that touches your heart comes from me, and not everything that moves you is a sign for you to pursue it. There are sounds that come very quickly, awakening your emotions with great intensity, making you think that they are life. But if you listen more deeply, you will realize that they do not bring stability, they do not lead you into peace, and they do not make your soul purer. My voice is different. Beloved, my voice may not always be loud, may not always overwhelm you in the first moment, but my voice lays a foundation within you. My voice does not merely stir your heart, my voice causes you to stand firm after the emotions have settled. As I have spoken, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. Therefore, what I desire in you is not a hurried reaction to every attraction, but a life that knows how to pause, how to discern, how to recognize what is the voice of the shepherd and what is only an echo in the wilderness. My child, I know you have a sensitive heart, a soul that knows how to respond to gentleness, a spirit that does not want to miss the things that appear beautiful. But precisely because your heart is precious, I will not allow it to be pulled away by every hand that reaches toward it. I do not want you to become cold, suspicious, or closed off. I want you to become discerning. Discernment does not kill love, beloved, but purifies love from blindness. Wisdom does not cause you to lose your kindness, but helps your kindness not be placed in places that only know how to receive and do not know how to cherish. As it is written, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. I do not tell you to guard your heart because your heart is evil, but because your heart is the place from which life flows. What is precious must be guarded in the light, not left at the mercy of every passing wind. There are connections that enter your life like the first rain of the season, making you believe that the dry ground within you has finally been watered. But over time, you begin to see something else. That presence does not draw you closer to me, does not make you more peaceful, does not make you freer. It causes you to wait in anxiety, to hope in weariness, to give while lacking certainty, and to wonder why what once made you joyful has begun to weigh heavily upon your heart. When that happens, do not be quick to blame yourself for having loved wrongly. Allow me to teach you how to see rightly. Not everything that once moved you was appointed to remain. Not everyone who once entered your life was sent to walk with you for the long journey. There are people who only pass through to reveal a lesson to you. There are relationships that are only permitted to exist for a season. And there are doors I close, not because I am taking something from you, but because I am saving you from what you cannot yet fully see. Remember Abraham and Lot. Beloved, for a time, they walked the same journey, left the familiar together, and stepped into the promise together. But then the land could no longer sustain both groups. Tension began to arise between their herdsmen, and Abraham had to let Lot choose his own path. On the surface, it seemed like a sorrowful separation, but in my deeper purpose, it was an arrangement so that Abraham could hear more clearly the word I had reserved for him. After Lot had separated from him, I spoke to Abraham, saying, "Lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are northward, southward, eastward, and westward." Genesis 13:14. Do you see? My child, there are promises that are only revealed after an attachment no longer continues. There are visions that only open when you stop clinging to what no longer fits the path I have appointed. Departure is not always loss. Sometimes it is a holy space where I set before your eyes a wider horizon. Therefore, do not grieve too long when you realize that a connection cannot go any farther. Cry if you need to cry. but do not call my protection abandonment. Be sorrowful if your heart is still tender, but do not let sorrow persuade you to return to the place from which I have brought you out. I know you once thought that if you tried a little more, waited a little longer, sacrificed a little deeper, everything would become right. But beloved, true love does not require you to lose your peace in order to prove your loyalty. What comes from me will not force you to continually make yourself smaller, doubt yourself, or remain silent before the things that make your soul uneasy. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. Philippians 4:7. And that peace is a profound witness. When I am in something, you may face trials, but your soul will not be torn away from me. You may need patience, but you will not be drained to the point that you forget who you are in me. I am teaching you a very holy distinction. Emotions may move you, but they must not rule over you. Attraction may draw your attention, but it must not lead the way in my place. Compassion may make you want to stay, but it must not turn you into someone who carries what I have not assigned to you. You are not called to chase after every door left slightly open, every tender gaze, every word that softens your heart. You are called to follow what I confirm. As it is written, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. My confirmation does not always come through a great sign. Sometimes it comes through deep peace, through clarity within your heart, through a quietness that does not need to be forced, through the sense that you do not have to strain yourself to hold on to that thing. Beloved child, what I am preparing for you will not make you bargain with your dignity. What I give will not require you to lay your peace upon the altar of the fear of loss. What truly belongs to your season will not pull you away from my presence, will not make your prayers feel foreign to you, and will not cause you to walk in darkness while calling it love. True love will bring you closer to me again. It will make you desire to live more uprightly, more tenderly, more honestly, more purely. It will not make you leave the light in order to protect an exhausting secret. God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. 1 John 1:5. So anything that belongs to me will not need darkness in order to survive. From now on, when your heart is stirred, bring that stirring before me. When you miss someone, let that longing pass through my light. When you want to keep a connection, ask me where it is leading you. Do not be afraid of my answer, because I never lead you out of what is good, only to throw you into emptiness. If I tell you to let go, it is because your hands need to be free to receive something purer. If I cause a relationship to weaken, it is because I am loosening a cord that could bind your steps later on. If I allow a truth to be revealed, it is because I love you too much to let you live inside an illusion decorated with sweet words. And when you learn to discern between the voice of emotion and the voice of the Father, you will no longer be pulled away as you once were. You will still love, but you will love in the light. You will still hope, but you will hope with watchfulness. You will still open your heart, but you will not entrust your soul to places I have not anointed. Your steps will become slower but surer, softer but stronger, quieter but filled with greater authority. I will place within you a deep steadfastness, not because you know everything that will happen, but because you know who is leading you. Go in peace. My beloved child, your shepherd does not lose his way. And when you recognize my voice, no counterfeit call will have enough authority to draw you far from the pasture I have prepared for your soul. My beloved child, I have heard the questions you hide in the darkness, the sighs you never turn into words, the times you have looked upward through tears and wondered why your heart must keep passing through encounters that make it hope and then hurt again. I know there have been nights when you asked me, Father, why do I give my heart sincerely and receive disappointment in return? Why does someone enter my life like a promise, then leave like a wound? Today, I do not come to you with rebuke, nor do I place upon you the burden of blaming yourself. I come with light. I want you to understand that what you have gone through is not evidence that you lack value, nor is it a sign that you do not know how to love. It is a deeper classroom of the soul, where I am teaching you not only to observe outward actions, but to recognize the inner current of every connection. For if you only look at a smile, at words, at shared emotions, or at a few tender moments, you may easily step back into old cycles. But when I open your eyes to see the roots, you will no longer be bound by what once deceived you. As it is written, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. Truth does not come to make you bitter. Truth comes to loosen the chains from the places where your heart was tied without realizing it. My child, there are people who approach without bearing the appearance of danger. They do not come with the noise of destruction. They do not appear as obvious enemies, and they do not speak words that immediately make you cautious. On the contrary, they may come with gentleness, with a kind of empathy that seems very deep, with words that sound as though they understand you more than anyone else. But beloved, not every form of understanding comes from holy love. There is a kind of understanding that is used only to open a door into your vulnerable places, and from there, gradually draw away your focus, disrupt the rhythm of your prayers, and cause you to be more occupied with a person than with listening to me. I do not say this so that you will fear people, but so that you will remain awake in the light. For there are presences that do not push you away from me in a single day, but pull you off course little by little. Today you pray a little less. Tomorrow you lose a little more peace. And then you begin to doubt my voice, doubt your worth, and doubt the path on which I have led you. The most dangerous deviation often does not begin with a great fall, but with very small compromises that you think are harmless. Therefore, I am calling you back to the center. That center is not a person, an emotion, a promise, or a connection that makes you feel needed. That center is me. When I am the center, you can love without losing yourself, listen without being controlled, and show compassion without placing your soul into another person's hands. When I am the center, you will be able to distinguish what is true support from what is dependence, dressed in the garments of care. Guidance that comes from me will not make you blurry within yourself. It will make you clearer. It will not make you continually revolve around another person's emotions. It will bring you back to the deep peace where I dwell. As it is written, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. You are not called to decode every motive by yourself, but to bring everything before me, so that my light may test what your eyes cannot yet see. Remember the story of Joshua and the Gibeonites. Beloved, when the Gibeonites came to Israel, they did not come with swords and spears, but with old garments, dry bread, and torn wineskins. Pretending that they had come from a very distant land, they used a weary appearance to create trust, and a story that seemed reasonable to soften the hearts of the people. And Scripture records that the people of Israel took some of their provisions, but they did not ask counsel of the Lord. Joshua 9:14. Do you say, my child, not every deception comes in a frightening form. There are counterfeit things that come appearing as though they need mercy, need trust, and need an open door. The lesson here is not that you must be suspicious of everyone, but that you must not neglect to ask me. Mercy without discernment can become an entrance for bondage. Compassion that is not placed under my light can cause you to make a covenant with what I never confirmed. I know this touches a very tender place within you, because you do not want to become hardened. You fear that if you discern too much, you will lose the purity of love. But I say to you, discernment does not make you less loving. It makes your love holy and clean. You can still be kind without being naive. You can still be gentle without being easily led astray. You can still open your heart without handing the keys of your soul to anyone who knows how to speak the right words at the right time. As it is written, Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are of God. 1 John 4:1. I am not telling you to judge through suspicion. I am teaching you to test through the light. What comes from me can endure the light. What is true is not afraid of time, not afraid of prayer, and not afraid of being examined by peace. Beloved child, the enemy often does not use crude hatred to attack a heart that knows how to love. He is more cunning than that. He uses false resonance. The feeling of, this person is like me. This person understands me. This person has touched the exact place of my wound. He may set before you someone who can speak the language of your pain, yet carries no medicine from me. He may create a sense of familiarity very quickly, but that familiarity has no foundation in truth. Then from that place, small seeds are sown, a little doubt about my voice, a little uneasiness about your journey, a little comparison, a little dependence, a little need to be affirmed by another person. When those seeds grow, you begin to drift away from the steadiness I have built within you. You no longer ask, Father, what do you want? But begin to ask, what does that person think of me? Will they still stay? What must I do to keep them? When a connection makes you fear losing that person more than you fear losing your peace in me, you must stop and return to the Father. Do not see the departures of others as a verdict on your worth. There are times when I allow someone to leave your life because, if they remained any longer, they would blur the calling I have placed within you. There are times when I allow a door to close because behind it is not a home, but a room that would cause your soul to forget the light. There are times when I let you see the truth in a painful moment because I do not want you to spend years healing from a bondage you could have avoided. The Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. Psalm 121:7. I keep you not only by giving more, but also by holding certain things back. I protect you not only through what I bring into your life, but also through what I do not allow to remain. From now on, when any hand reaches toward you, look beyond the gesture itself. Ask, does this presence draw you closer to me or farther from me? Does it make you more peaceful or more anxious? Does it awaken goodness within you or pull you back into old cycles? Does it honor the light I have placed in you, or does it want you to step into a dim place in order to keep it? You do not need to answer every call in haste. You do not need to open the door simply because someone knocks at the exact moment when you feel lonely. You do not need to call urgency destiny, nor call being emotionally stirred confirmation. My voice does not pressure you to lose your peace in order to grasp something in time. My voice leads you with clarity, with order, with holiness, and with a peace that does not need another person's permission in order to exist. Let me teach you to love in freedom. True love does not make you a prisoner of attention. True love does not force you to keep proving that you are worthy of staying. True love does not place you in a state of exhaustion, where you are hoping and fearing at the same time, giving and losing yourself at once. What comes from me will not compete with me in your heart. It will not sit upon the throne where only I am meant to dwell. It will not demand that you sacrifice your calling, your peace, your dignity, and your purity in exchange for a few moments of feeling needed. What I give may require patience, but it will not feed you with chaos. What I give may challenge you to mature, but it will not break your soul in silence. So come nearer to me again. My beloved child, place your connections under my light before you place them inside your heart. Allow me to touch the places within you that once were easily swept away by counterfeit empathy, so that from now on you will no longer confuse someone who understands your wound with someone I have sent to honor your soul. I am freeing you from invisible cords, from the need to keep everyone from leaving, from the fear that every departure is proof that you are not good enough. You are precious enough to be protected. You are loved enough for me to intervene. You belong to me enough that you do not have to beg for affirmation from anything that pulls you away from me. Stand firm, for truth is opening your eyes. Be at peace. For the Father is guarding your heart. Keep walking. For what belongs to me will not need darkness, dependence, or fear in order to remain in your life. My beloved child, I have heard the silent questions you have not dared to speak aloud. I have seen the nights when you lay still while your heart felt as though it were being torn into pieces, where old memories returned to knock at the door, where you wondered why you could be sincere and still be wounded, why some people seem to come close carrying light, only to leave behind a cold emptiness within you. I know you have whispered through tears, Father, did I love wrongly? Was I too quick to trust? Is my heart weak? And is that why it keeps getting hurt? But today, I do not come to condemn you, nor do I come to place another burden upon your weary soul. I come to place light into the place you once called confusion. I want you to know that what you have gone through is not evidence that you are of lesser worth, but a sign that I am leading you into a deeper level of discernment. You do not only need to see who stays and who leaves. You need to recognize what is operating behind each connection. For if you only look at outward behavior, you can easily be pulled back into old cycles. But when you allow me to open your eyes to see the roots, you will begin to step into freedom. As it is written, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. That truth does not come to make you bitter, but to loosen from you the invisible cords that have quietly held you back for too long. My child, not every hand extended toward you is a hand I have sent. Not every gentle word carries life. Not every form of empathy is rooted in pure love. There are people who do not enter your life with the appearance of danger, who do not break you through obvious actions, who do not make you realize from the beginning that they are pulling you off course. They come with closeness, with a kind of understanding that seems rare, with words that touch the tender places within you, making you think that at last someone truly understands you. But beloved, understanding that is not placed beneath my light can become a key that opens the most vulnerable places in you. There are presences that do not destroy you in a single day, but quietly take away your focus little by little. They cause you to become more occupied with someone's reaction, someone's silence, and the effort to keep someone from leaving than with listening to my voice within your heart. And when my voice is pushed far away by the noise of a bond, you begin to lose the peace I have placed within you. Therefore, I am calling you back to the center, not back to fear, not back to closing yourself off, but back to me. The center of your life cannot be a person who stirs your heart, nor can it be a connection that makes you feel needed. The center of your life must be my presence, where you are kept steady, whether others come or go, where you hear the Father's voice more clearly than the voice of loneliness, the voice of memory, or the voice of the longing to be loved. As it is written, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not emptiness. It is the place where your soul is brought back into rhythm. When you are near me, you will recognize the difference between someone who lifts you closer to the light and someone who only wants you to revolve around them. When you abide in me, you will know what kind of connection brings you deeper peace, and what kind of bond causes you to gradually lose yourself. Remember Delilah and Samson, beloved, not so that you will fear love, but so that you will understand the power of lacking discernment. Samson was strong before the lion, strong before his enemies, yet he became weak before an intimacy that was not illuminated by God. Delilah did not need swords or spears to defeat him. She used closeness, pleading, and emotion to draw the secret of his strength out of the place where it had been entrusted. And when Samson placed what was holy into the hands of someone who did not fear what was holy, his hair was cut, his eyes were put out, and his strength departed from him before he even realized it. Do you see, my child? Not every battle takes place on an open battlefield. There are battles that begin in conversations that seem harmless, in familiarities I have not confirmed, in moments when you reveal too much of your soul to someone who has not been permitted to guard it. Therefore I speak to you in love. Do not place what is holy within you into hands that have not been tested in the light. I do not say this to make you suspicious of everyone, nor do I want you to live in a dry posture of defense. I am not calling you to become a closed, cold soul who no longer trusts anyone. No, beloved, I am teaching you to love with wisdom. There is a love that is both tender and boundaried, both kind and watchful, both generous and willing to ask me before opening the door. As it is written, beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are of God. 1 John 4:1. This is not an invitation to suspicion, but an invitation to discernment. What comes from me will not fear being tested. What is true will not become angry when you need time. What is pure will not demand that you step into a dim place, hide your prayers, or exchange your peace in order to keep it. What belongs to me may challenge you to mature, but it will not pull you away from me. You must understand deeply that the enemy rarely approaches your heart through obvious hatred. He knows you will not easily open the door to what is harsh and brutal. Therefore, he often clothes deception in the garment of empathy. He brings people who seem similar to you in pain, similar to you in the way they think, similar to you in the unhealed spaces within them, so that a sense of familiarity forms very quickly. Then, within that familiarity, he sows small seeds. A little doubt about my calling, a little wavering about your worth, a little comparison with others, a little dependence on outward affirmation. At first, everything may seem slight, but if you do not bring it before me, those seeds will grow into vines that wrap themselves around your freedom. Then you no longer walk because I am leading you, but because you fear losing a person. You no longer seek me first, but wait to see how that person will respond. You no longer stand in peace, but are pulled up and down by someone else's attention. Therefore, when someone approaches you in this season, do not only ask, do they make me happy? Ask more deeply, does this presence bring me closer to me, or draw me farther away from me after speaking with them? Is my heart brighter or heavier? Am I encouraged to become purer, freer, and more steadfast? Or do I begin to become more confused, dependent, and anxious? Beloved, the answer of the soul is often not loud, but it is very real. The peace I give is not a passing emotion. It is a guard standing at the gate of your heart. As it is written, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. Philippians 4:7. When peace departs, do not be quick to ignore it. When your heart keeps being stirred without being led into clarity, stop and bring that matter before me. Do not grieve too long when I show you that a connection cannot continue. I know departure can make you sorrowful, especially when you have hoped, prayed, and believed that it was what you had been waiting for. But there are doors I close, not because I want you to be lonely, but because behind those doors are cords that would bind your feet in the future. There are people I do not allow to remain, not because you are unworthy of being loved, but because they cannot preserve what I am building within you. There are separations that feel like wounds in the moment, yet become deliverance for the whole journey. The Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. Psalm 121:7. I guard you not only from what you can see as dangerous, but also from what you once thought was safe. From today onward, I want you to stop calling every departure a failure. Some departures are answers. Some empty spaces are mercy. Some moments when you are not chosen by people are the very moments when I am choosing you again for my purpose. You do not need to hold on to anyone by losing your peace, losing your calling, or losing the purity of your heart. What truly comes from me will not require you to move away from me in order to keep it. True love does not compete with me for the throne of your heart. It honors my place, brings you back to me, causes you to pray more deeply, live more uprightly, and love more fully in the light. If a connection makes you hide me in the background, then it cannot be what I desire to place in the foreground of your life. Walk in peace. My beloved child, I am not taking love away from you. I am purifying love within you. I am not separating you from people. I am freeing you from bonds disguised as familiarity. I do not want you to live in fear, but in holy watchfulness. From now on, let every hand that reaches toward you pass through my light before it touches your heart. Let every sweet word be tested by my peace before you believe it is destiny. Let every form of empathy be placed at my feet before you call it connection. For you are my child, not an object for anyone to hold carelessly. Your soul belongs to me. Your journey rests in my hands, and what I have prepared for you will not need darkness, dependence, or fear in order to remain. Listen to me. Stay near to me, and you will recognize this when truth opens your eyes. No deception will still have enough authority to lead you away from the bright path the Father has set before you. My beloved child, there are things you think are losses, but in my hands they are silent preparation. There are people who leave and make your heart feel empty, connections that fracture and make you feel as though you are being left alone, doors that close and cause you to wonder whether you are losing something precious. But I speak to you with the tenderness of a father and with the certainty of the one who knows the road ahead. You are not being made smaller. You are being reordered into proper alignment. The season before you is not like the season you have passed through. It cannot carry the old cords, the old dependencies, the connections that disturb your soul and keep you from hearing my voice clearly. If you step into what I have appointed while still carrying what does not belong to that journey, those very things will become a weight upon your shoulders, noise within your mind, invisible hands pulling you back when I call you forward. Therefore, when I prune, do not be quick to call it punishment. As it is written, every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. John 15:2. Pruning is not a sign that I have abandoned you, but evidence that I see in you a season of greater fruitfulness. My child, what I am doing is not only taking place in your outward circumstances. I am not merely changing the people around you, closing a few pathways, or exposing what had once been hidden. I am training the way you feel, the way you discern, the way you recognize the deeper movements behind words and actions. In the past, you may have simply listened to what someone said and believed the softness of their words. You may have looked at a beautiful gesture and thought it was a sign of safety. But now, I am awakening within you a spiritual sensitivity, so that you do not only hear with your ears, do not only see with your eyes, but learn to recognize the atmosphere operating behind a presence. There are people who come near you, and their words may be sweet, yet afterward your soul becomes heavy, your prayers grow weaker, and the light within you seems covered by an unnamed mist. There are also people who do not say much, yet their presence reminds you of me and makes your heart more upright, more peaceful, more pure. Therefore, when peace leaves your heart, do not treat it as a small thing. As it is written, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. That peace is the guard I have placed at the gate of your heart. When that guard speaks, you must stop and listen. I know your heart carries kindness. I know you easily sympathize, easily want to help, easily become tender before the pain of others. That is not wrong, beloved, for mercy is part of the beauty I have placed within you. But I must also teach you that a gift, if it is not guarded by wisdom, can become a place where others enter to take advantage. Goodness that is not led by me will leave you exhausted from carrying things I never assigned to you. Mercy without boundaries will turn you into a place where others pour out all their chaos, while your own soul slowly runs dry of life. I am not telling you to stop loving, not telling you to become cold, not telling you to be suspicious of every hand extended toward you. I am only teaching you to love according to the order of the kingdom of heaven. As my only begotten Son has spoken, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Matthew 10:16. Innocence keeps you from wickedness, but wisdom keeps you from being led astray. Gentleness makes you resemble me, but discernment helps you not place what is holy into places that do not know how to honor what is holy. Remember Nehemiah, beloved, when I placed it in his heart to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem. That work did not only require labor, it required watchfulness. Sanballat and Geshem repeatedly sent messengers, inviting him to come down to the plain of Ono to meet with them. The invitation sounded like dialogue, like reconciliation, like an ordinary meeting. But Nehemiah recognized that what stood behind that invitation was not peace, but a scheme to pull him away from the work I had assigned to him. He answered, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Nehemiah 6:3. Do you see, my child? Not every invitation deserves your response. Not every meeting requires your presence. Not every pull is an opportunity. There are voices that only seek to bring you down from the wall I am telling you to build. In the season where I am preparing you, you must learn to say no to what draws you away from your holy assignment, even when it comes in a polite, attractive, or seemingly reasonable form. Therefore, when the things around you begin to crack, do not panic. Do not rush to repair every fracture if I am the one allowing it to be exposed. There are structures that seem stable but are built on dependence. There are connections that seem close but survive on anxiety. There are habits that seem harmless but silently keep you in old cycles. I am shaking things not to destroy you, but so that what is not true may fall away, and what comes from me may remain standing. As it is written, that the things which cannot be shaken may remain. Hebrews 12:27. The shaking of this season is purification. It reveals what has roots in me and what only clings to you through emotion, habit, and the fear of loss. Beloved child, do not try to hold on to what I am removing from your hands. Do not use your own strength to save a connection from which I have withdrawn grace. Do not ask me to restore what I am using. Through its very breaking to protect you, there are things that, if you keep them through stubbornness, you do not keep a blessing, you only keep a burden. There are paths that appear right, reasonable, and like places where your heart will be comforted. Yet in the end they lead you into weariness and darkness. As it is written, there is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. Proverbs 14:12. Therefore, I am calling you to trust my long-range guidance more than your immediate emotions. Your emotions may weep when a door closes, but a soul taught by me will bow its head and say, Father, you see what I do not yet see. You know what I do not yet know, and you love me too much to let me enter a place that would lead me astray. I am bringing you into a more ordered life, not the dry order of mere rules, but the holy order of peace. In that order, you will no longer give your heart simply because you are lonely, no longer open the door simply because you are receiving attention, no longer call chaos passion, no longer call dependence love. You will learn to pause before responding, to ask me before entering, to observe the fruit before placing your trust. Therefore by their fruits you will know them. Matthew 7:20. So do not only look at the flowers that bloom in the first moment, look at what that thing produces in your soul over time. Does it produce peace or anxiety, purity or concealment, nearness to me or distance from prayer, strength in truth or weakness through dependence? These questions do not cause you to lose love. They protect love from being mixed with what does not belong to me. Let me prune. Beloved, let me remove from you the cords that seem gentle, yet have been binding your steps. Let me quiet the noise that has kept you from hearing my word clearly. Let me purify the circle around you, so that those whom I have sent may recognize their place, and the things that only came to distract you must leave the position they once occupied. I am not impoverishing your life. I am making it pure. I am not taking love away. I am setting love in its proper order. I am not leaving you in emptiness. I am creating a holy space where what is new can be sown without being choked by old roots. So continue walking with steadfastness. When something falls away, do not be quick to bend down and pick it up if I have not told you to pick it up. When a relationship begins to weaken, do not use fear to force it back to life. When peace warns you, do not ignore it simply because the outward words still sound pleasant. I am leading you out of confusion and bringing you into a season of fruitfulness. You will not need to trade your peace in order to keep what I give. You will not need to leave the center, which is me, in order to enter what belongs to me. What I am preparing will align with the purity I am building within you, with the calling I have placed upon you, and with the season I am opening before you. Trust me, my beloved child, for the hand that prunes is also the hand that upholds. The one who removes what is unnecessary is also the one preparing you for a season of greater, deeper, brighter fruitfulness, filled with more life in me. My beloved child, among the tangled paths of the world, you will encounter many things that bear the appearance of love. There are words wrapped in gentleness, glances that make you feel seen, gestures of care that soften your heart, and presences that arrive at the very moment of your weakness, making you think they are the place where your soul may finally rest. But I want you to hear this deeply. Not everything soft comes from me, and not everything that moves you carries life. There are garments of love placed over impure intentions. There are hands extended not to lift you up, but to hold you back. There are gentle voices that do not shatter you immediately, but quietly pull you away from the holy center where I am keeping you in peace. Therefore, I do not only teach you to hear with your ears, see with your eyes, or respond with emotion. I teach you to listen with your soul, discern by the light, and bring everything that touches your heart back before me, before you call it love. My child, maturity is not when you no longer trust anyone, but when you know how to place everything under my light before giving your heart. I do not want you to live in bitter suspicion, but neither do I want you to live in a naivety that causes your soul to be wounded again and again. When a word stirs you, do not be quick to drink it in as living water. Bring it beside me and ask, Father, what is the source of this? Does it come from truth or from lack? Does it bring me closer to you? Or does it only make me more occupied with a person? As it is written, Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are of God. 1 John 4:1. That testing is not coldness, nor is it a lack of love. It is the sign of a soul that has been trained, no longer handing over the authority to lead its life to every sound that knows how to call its loneliness by name. Understand this, beloved. True love always opens space for freedom. It does not suffocate your breath, does not force you to live in the fear of loss, does not make you shrink your calling in order to fit another person's insecurity. Love that comes from me will not fight for the throne of your heart, will not want you to place it before my presence, and will not make you choose between peace and attachment. It will lift you to stand upright in the light, remind you that you belong to me before you belong to anyone else, and cause your life to bear purity, courage, gentleness, and steadfastness. As it is written, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. Therefore, anything that gradually causes you to lose freedom, lose the voice of prayer, lose peace in your mind and clarity in your soul, stop and recognize this. That thing does not carry my breath. False love, my beloved child, is not always harsh. Many times, it is very skillful, very willing to listen, very able to appear at the exact moment when you feel empty. It may sit beside you in your tears, speak to you the words you have longed to hear for so long, and touch old wounds with a kind of sympathy that makes you think you have finally been understood. But if, after all these things, you are not led closer to me, do not become stronger in the truth, and are not encouraged to stand firm in the dignity I have placed upon you, then you must look more carefully. There is a kind of empathy that only seeks to create dependence. There is a kind of gentleness that does not heal, but makes you need it more. There is a kind of closeness that does not set you free, but makes you afraid to leave. True love will not feed you with fear. True love does not use your weakness as a dwelling place for control. Remember Jonathan and David, beloved, for there you see a beautiful image of love that does not possess. Jonathan loved David with a covenant heart, but that love did not pull David away from my calling. He did not envy the anointing upon David, did not try to keep David under his own shadow, did not require David to shrink his destiny so that he could feel secure. On the contrary, Jonathan protected David, encouraged David, and accepted that my hand was leading his friend into a greater path. That is love with freedom, love that fears me, love that does not stand between you and your purpose. In the same way, what comes from me will not fear your growth, will not fear that you hear my voice more clearly, will not fear that you step into the light. The counterfeit is different. It needs you weak so it can feel important, needs you dependent so it can feel powerful, needs you confused so it can direct you in my place. I speak these words to you not so that you will withdraw from every relationship, but so that you will enter them with holy wisdom. You can love, but love in the light. You can show compassion, but do not let compassion become a bridge that carries you into bondage. You can listen, but do not let another person's voice become louder than mine within your heart. You can give, but do not give the deepest parts of your soul to someone who has not been tested by time. Fruit and peace. As it is written, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. Guarding your heart does not mean burying your heart. Guarding your heart means placing the gate of your heart under my watch, so that what belongs to the light may enter, and what carries darkness must remain outside. Beloved child, learn to look at the fruit, not only at the words. A person may speak of love, but what does their presence produce within you after being near them? Is your heart brighter or heavier? Do you find yourself wanting to pray more, or hiding from me more? Are you lifted into purity, or pulled into murkiness? Are you free to be yourself in me, or must you shrink, remain silent, and endure pain in order to preserve that closeness? As it is written, a tree is known by its fruit, Matthew 12:33. I do not want you to be enchanted by flowers that bloom in the first moment. I want you to discern what is produced over time. For words can be decorated, gestures can be rehearsed, but the final fruit will reveal the source. When peace within you departs, do not take it lightly. When your soul keeps sensing that something is not right, even though everything outwardly appears correct, do not quickly force yourself into silence. I often warn you not with thunder, but through a very gentle, holy unease within your heart. I may cause you to slow down when you want to move quickly, cause you to ask questions when you want to believe immediately, and allow you to feel a pause when emotion is urging you forward. That is not weakness, that is protection. I do not want the unhealed emptiness within you to decide who is allowed to enter your life. I want my presence, my word, and my peace to be the scale by which all things are weighed. Therefore, from now on, when anything clothed in the appearance of love comes near you, bring it into the place of prayer. Do not be afraid of waiting. What is true will not disappear simply because you need time to discern. What comes from me will not become angry when you set healthy boundaries. What is pure will not pressure you to hurry, will not force you to hide the light, and will not make you feel guilty for wanting to preserve your peace. If a love can only exist when you lose your freedom, then it is not the love I give. If an attachment requires you to move away from me in order to keep it, then you must let it go. If a hand is gentle only when you are dependent, but becomes uneasy when you are strong, then that hand was not sent to lift you into my purpose. Hear me, my beloved child. I am not taking love away from you. I am restoring love to its holy nature. I am not closing you off. I am making you purer, more watchful, and freer. I do not want you to fear closeness. I want you to discern between closeness that heals and closeness that possesses. What I am preparing for you will not require you to trade your soul in order to be kept. It will not draw you away from the center, which is me. It will cause you to bloom in the light, mature in peace, and walk with a heart that is both tender and steadfast. Stay near me, ask me, and allow me to test everything before you call it love. For when I am the one guarding your heart, no counterfeit can use gentleness to bind you, and no darkness can wear the garment of love and keep your eyes covered forever. My beloved child, let your heart become still for a little while, for I want to speak to you about something very subtle, something your eyes do not always recognize immediately. There are forms of love that do not come like a storm to break you down, but like a soft shadow to keep you in dependence. They do not knock you down in a single day, but cause you to forget how to stand firmly in me. They do not steal your voice through violence, but gradually train you to seek outward affirmation before returning to the place where I am speaking. They may help you when you are weak, yet not rejoice when you become strong. They may stay near you when you weep, yet become uneasy when you begin to heal. They may make you feel needed, cared for, and kept. But if that does not lead you into freedom, does not cause you to mature in truth, and does not bring you back closer to me, then you must stop and look carefully. True love does not nurture weakness in order to keep influence over you. True love lifts you up so that you can stand firmly in the light, even when no one is beside you but me. My child, I do not blame you for once leaning on hands that made you feel safe. I know there were seasons when you were so weary that even one gentle word was enough to make you want to believe it was a refuge. I know there were empty places within you that made you more likely to open the door to attachments that came quickly, said exactly what you needed to hear, and touched the very wound you were hiding. But today, I do not bring this up to make you ashamed. I am bringing light, so that you will no longer confuse true comfort with dependence in disguise. For anything that gradually takes the central place in your heart causes you to seek it before you seek me, and makes you fear losing it more than you fear departing from my peace, must be put back in its proper place. As it is written, you shall have no other gods before me. Exodus 20:3. It is not only stone images or altars that can become idols. Sometimes a person, an emotion, a relationship, or a need to be loved can sit upon the throne where only I am worthy to reign. Therefore, I am not telling you to stop loving. I am not calling you to become dry, cold, or distant from everyone. I am teaching you to love in proper order. When love is in its rightful place, it becomes a river that brings life, but when it takes my place, it becomes a current that carries you away from the shore of peace. When a connection is placed under the light, it can make you stronger, but when it is fed by the fear of loss, it will cause you to shrink yourself in order to keep something I never gave you to be your center. Beloved, what comes from me does not force you to strain yourself in order to prove your worth. It does not need haste in order to validate itself. It does not require you to exchange your prayer, your purity, and your dignity for the feeling of being kept. As it is written, love does no harm to a neighbor, Romans 13:10. True love will not harm your soul by pulling you away from the source of life. Remember Rachel and Jacob, beloved, so that you may understand that even the things deeply loved must be placed under my order. Jacob loved Rachel greatly, yet in the journey of his life, I still had to bring him to a deeper place, where he would no longer be defined only by what he desired, but by the covenant I had placed upon him. At Peniel, when he wrestled through the night, it was not a relationship that changed his name, but my touch that transformed Jacob into Israel. Do you see? You may love others, cherish beautiful connections, and be grateful for someone's presence in your life, but no one is permitted to become the place where you seek your final identity. Only I have the right to call you by your true name. Only I have the right to define you. Only I have the right to place my hand upon your deepest wound and turn it into the mark of a life made new. Therefore, when you feel your heart being drawn, slow down. Do not condemn your emotions, but do not let your emotions take your hand and lead you either. When your heart is stirred by a word, bring that word before me. When someone makes you feel understood, ask me where that understanding is leading you. When you want to open your heart, allow me to test the source of what is coming near you. As it is written, he who trusts in his own heart is a fool, but whoever walks wisely will be delivered. Proverbs 28:26. I do not say this so that you will despise your heart, but so that you will know your heart must be guided by a light higher than immediate emotion. Your heart is precious, but it was not created to discern all things on its own apart from me. There are departures you once called loss, but in my hands they are cleansing. There are empty spaces you once feared, but I use them as holy rooms where I can set new things in their proper place. When someone leaves your life, do not quickly conclude that you have been abandoned. When a connection begins to loosen, do not immediately think that you are not lovable enough. I never take away in order to leave you empty without meaning. I clear the space so that you may have room for the fullness that belongs to the right season. There are presences that, if they remained longer, would slow your steps. There are voices that, if you continued listening to them, would blur my calling. There are attachments that, if you kept holding them tightly, would cause you to enter a new season with hands no longer free. Therefore, do not try to cling to what I am loosening. A departure may cause your heart to ache for a moment, but remaining in the wrong place can weary your soul for many years. Beloved child, what lies ahead of you is not an ordinary journey. I am preparing you for a season that only a purified heart will be able to carry. There are blessings that require a free spirit in order to receive them. There are responsibilities that require a heart no longer divided. There are doors that open only to those who are no longer bound by voices from the wrong season. Therefore, every lesson about departure, every time you are taught how to discern, every moment you choose to return to me instead of running after the fear of loss, is training the eyes and ears of your soul. As it is written, all things work together for good to those who love God. Romans 8:28. Even what you do not yet understand, even the silence that confuses you, even the closed door that leaves you breathless with sorrow, is being placed by me into a wider picture that you have not yet seen in full. I want you to learn this freedom. You can love without becoming dependent, care without losing your center, and be with others without placing them in my position. When you are in me, you will not need a love that causes you to forget who you are. You will no longer chase attention like someone who lacks belonging. You will no longer call exhausting attachment destiny. No longer call possession devotion. No longer call the fear of losing someone proof of deep love. True love does not make you smaller. It helps you bloom in the light. True love does not draw you away from my word. It makes you want to hear me more clearly. True love does not keep you through pressure. It walks with you in freedom, because it knows that you belong to me first. So, my child, return to me in all things. When your heart is troubled, return. When you are drawn towards something, return. When a relationship leaves you confused, return. When someone walks out of your life, return. I will not always answer you with thunder or with a great sign. Often I answer with a deep clarity, with a peace that cannot be imitated, with a gentle yet certain restraint, with a light that lets you know what must be released and what may remain. I am teaching you not only to look at the surface, but to see the source, not only to hear words, but to understand the atmosphere, not only to love through emotion, but to love in truth. And when you walk this way, no love placed wrongly will have enough authority to replace what I have appointed for you. No counterfeit will be able to hold you for long. No departure will be able to steal from you the portion that belongs to me. Be at peace, my beloved child, for I am clearing the way, guarding, purifying, and preparing for you a fullness that does not need chains in order to exist, does not need fear in order to cling, and will never pull you away from the Father's heart. My beloved child, there are times when I do not only protect you from the things that approach from the outside, but also preserve you from the waves rising within your own heart. For there are things you think are the voice of love, yet in truth, they are only the echo of an unhealed emptiness. There are warm feelings that make you think you are being filled, but if you look deeper, you will see that they do not make you more steadfast in me, do not lead you into lasting peace, and do not make your soul purer. They only create a light intoxication, a subtle pull, a need to be touched, remembered, sought after, and affirmed. And if you do not stop under my light, that thing can become a spiral that makes you think you are loving, when in truth, you are being led by lack. Therefore, I speak to you not to make you afraid of your heart, but so that you will know how to bring that heart back under my guidance. As it is written, the heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Jeremiah 17:9. So do not let a passing emotion become the final throne of judgment over your life. Let my truth shine into your emotions, so that anything that does not come from life must dissolve before the light. My child, I know there are times when you wonder why something can both soothe you and make you uneasy. I know there are connections that soften your heart for a moment, yet afterward leave you restless, waiting, imagining, analyzing, and losing your rest in me. That is why I am teaching you something deeper than merely discerning whether a person is good or not, whether a word is right or wrong. I am teaching you to recognize the rhythm of the Holy Spirit in every small movement of your soul. There are things that outwardly look very beautiful, yet inwardly their rhythm is hurried, possessive, and pulls you away from the center. There are also things that do not appear impressive outwardly, but when they come, your heart becomes still, your mind becomes clearer, and you feel yourself being led closer to me. As it is written, the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield. James 3:17. Therefore, what comes from me does not merely stir your emotions, it also carries purity, order, and peace. I am not making your heart hard. Beloved, I do not want you to become someone who is afraid to love, afraid to trust, afraid to open your heart, afraid of every kind of closeness. No, I am making your heart precise. Precision does not mean coldness. Precision means loving the right person, at the right time, within the right boundaries, from the right source. Precision means you no longer open your heart by reflex because you are lonely. No longer step into an attachment simply because it makes you feel needed. No longer call the excitement of emotion my confirmation. Precision means you know how to stop, breathe in my presence, and ask, Father, does this carry your breath? Does it make me freer? Does it honor the light you have placed within me? For love that comes from me does not invade, does not pressure, does not control, and does not make you shrink yourself in order to keep it. True love always carries respect like a riverbank, so that the water may flow without destroying everything around it. Remember Elias, beloved, when he stood on the mountain before me, a great and strong wind passed by, tearing into the mountains and breaking the rocks in pieces. But I was not in the wind. After the wind came an earthquake, but I was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but I was not in the fire. Then came a still small voice, 1 Kings 19:12. And there Elijah recognized my presence. Do you see? My child, not the strongest thing in your emotions is always the thing that comes from me. Not the greatest stirring, the most urgent call, or the most intense attraction is the sign of true love. Sometimes what comes from me arrives very quietly, very deeply, very purely. It does not make you panic. It does not cause you to lose control, but it places within you a clarity that does not need noise. I am teaching you not to worship the intensity of emotion, but to recognize its source. Emotion may be the wind. The Holy Spirit is the one who leads. Therefore, when you feel your heart being pulled towards something, do not run after it in haste. Slow down. Slowing down in me is not missing out. It is protection. When you feel that a person, a word, or a presence is beginning to take up too much space in your mind, bring it to me before it takes root more deeply. When you find yourself needing a response in order to have peace, needing a message in order to feel valuable, needing attention so your heart does not feel empty. Recognize that I am inviting you back to the source. You were not created to live on drops of affirmation falling from another person's hand. You were created to drink from the unfailing spring in me. As my Son has spoken, whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. John 4:14. Therefore, if an attachment makes you thirstier, makes you cling more tightly, and makes you more afraid of being without it, you must know that it is not the water I give. Beloved child, even what carries a spiritual name must be tested. There are words that sound like encouragement, forms of closeness covered in sacred language, and connections that speak of destiny, calling, and confirmation, yet make you lose freedom, lose peace, and lose the ability to stand alone in me. Do not let beautiful words blur your discernment. Not everything that mentions me comes from me. Not everything that moves you emotionally is the Holy Spirit. As it is written, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. So if something causes you to feel pressured, controlled, obsessed, dependent, or afraid when you want to leave, then no matter what name it carries, you must remove it from the throne of your heart and place it beneath my feet. I am training you to love without being swallowed, to show compassion without being swept away, and to open your heart without losing yourself. This maturity does not come in a single day. It is forged through the times when you choose to ask me instead of reacting immediately. Choose peace instead of attraction. Choose truth instead of the temporary feeling of being filled. Every time you pause before something appealing whose source is not yet clear, you do not become weaker, you become stronger. Every time you refuse an attachment that pulls your soul out of rhythm, you do not lose love, you are protecting your ability to love purely. Every time you return to me instead of chasing an emotional hunger, you are allowing your roots to go deeper into the true source of life. Do not be afraid when I touch the places within you that were once easily addicted to the feeling of being needed. I know those places were not born from wickedness, but from wounds that had not yet been comforted, from seasons when you felt overlooked, from the times when you had to be strong on your own for too long. I do not despise those empty spaces. I enter them like a father entering the dark room of his trembling child, not to scold, but to light a lamp. I will teach you that you do not need to be possessed by anyone in order to be loved. You do not need to live in drama in order to call something deep. You do not need to lose your freedom in order to prove your loyalty. The love I give you is spacious but not chaotic, close but not invasive, deep but not binding. So let me restore the rhythm within you. When emotion rises high, place it before me. When your heart becomes warm, ask where that fire is coming from. When a presence fascinates you, look to see what comes after that fascination, peace or anxiety, freedom or dependence, light or a dim place. I will answer you, not always with a loud voice, but with deep clarity within your soul, with a gentle touch that lets you know whether to move forward or stop, with a peace that opens the way, or a holy unease that closes the door. As it is written, your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, this is the way, walk in it. Isaiah 30:21. I still lead you in this way gently yet firmly, quietly yet without error. Walk in freedom. My beloved child, I am not taking away your ability to be moved. I am sanctifying it. I am not taking away your tender heart. I am placing wisdom within it. I am not separating you from love. I am bringing you into true love, where you are no longer carried away by emotional thirst, no longer confuse possession with care, and no longer call dependence a sacred bond. You will learn to love in truth, to hear in the Holy Spirit, to see in the light. and to stand in me with a heart that is both tender and strong. When you are in my rhythm, no counterfeit feeling can lead you for long. No warmth from a wrong source can replace my peace. And no love that costs you your freedom can claim to be what I have appointed for you. My beloved child, hear me speak to you with tenderness, but also with the solemnity of a father. For the things you have just passed through were not meaningless waves drifting across your life. Not one of your tears has been wasted. Not one confusion has escaped my sight, and not one wound is beyond my ability to use in building a deeper foundation within you. You once thought those collisions came only to exhaust you, that the times you discerned wrongly came only to make you ashamed, and that fractured connections came only to prove how easily you could be hurt. But I say to you, no. Beloved, I have used the very places where you felt weak to train your spiritual senses. I have used the moments when you were almost pulled off course to teach you to recognize my straight path. I have used the mixed voices so that the ears of your soul could learn to distinguish what is merely the echo of emotion from what is the call of the Holy Spirit. As it is written, solid food belongs to those who are of full age. That is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Hebrews 5:14. Therefore, what you have gone through is not useless depletion, but a holy training ground where I am making you mature. My child, discernment is not a secondary gift placed on the edge of your journey. It is a pillar of the authority I am forming within you. No one can enter true restoration while still being unclear about the things that disguise themselves as light. No one can carry what is holy without learning to recognize what pollutes the flow. No one can be entrusted with more while still allowing their goodness to be led by haste, pity without light, or the need to be needed by others. I do not want you to have only a soft heart. I want that heart to be anchored in wisdom. I do not want you to have only kindness. I want that kindness to be led by the Holy Spirit. For unguided goodness can open the door to confusion, but goodness placed in my hands will become healing oil. Mercy without discernment may cause you to carry things I never assigned to you, but sanctified mercy will know when to support, when to pray, when to step back, and when to entrust another person into my hands. I am building you from within. Beloved, before I reveal something greater outwardly, many times you have wanted to see quick results, wanted to understand why certain doors closed, why some people could not continue, why I allowed certain things to fall from your hands, even though you once thought they were important. But do you know this? A tall house does not begin with a radiant roof. It begins with a foundation buried deep beneath the ground. No one applauds the foundation. No one sees it on the day of dedication. Yet it is the very thing that determines whether the house can stand when strong winds blow. In the same way, what I am doing within you is often so quiet that you may think nothing is changing. But beneath those silent days, I am laying down steadfastness, watchfulness, purity of motive, clarity in hearing, and precision in the way you open your heart. As it is written, through wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. Proverbs 24:3. Therefore, I do not merely want your life to be built, I want it to be built in a way that endures. Remember Solomon when he was still young and was placed before a responsibility beyond human strength. When I appeared to him in a dream and said, "Ask, what shall I give you?" he did not first ask for riches, did not first ask for vengeance, did not first ask for fame, but asked for a listening heart to discern between good and evil, and to govern my people rightly. Because he asked for this, I not only gave him wisdom, but also added the things he had not made the center. Do you see? Beloved, true authority does not begin with outward power. It begins with an inward heart that knows how to discern. A person may have opportunity, influence, a voice, and open doors, but without wisdom to distinguish the source of what is coming, that person can easily use a gift to move in the wrong direction. Therefore, before I expand the scope of your life, I must deepen the well within you. Before I entrust you with more, I must teach you how to keep what you already have in the light. Do not see the times of testing within relationships as meaningless delay. That is where I train your eyes to see fruit, not only appearance. That is where I teach you to hear the atmosphere behind words, not only the sounds upon someone's lips. That is where I help you recognize that not everyone who praises you lifts you up. Not everyone who needs you has been assigned to you by me. And not everyone who moves your emotions belongs to your journey. There are things that look like opportunities but are actually distractions. There are forms of closeness that look like favor but are actually cords. There are gentle words that look like comfort but actually cause you to forget to return to me. Therefore, I will not allow you to keep living by reaction. I am teaching you to live by recognition. I will not leave you to follow only what your heart wants in a moment. I am teaching you to wait until my peace bears witness. Perhaps you have blamed yourself because there were times when you did not discern correctly. But I do not call you a failure. Beloved, I call you one who is being trained. A child learning to walk is not abandoned by the father because they stumble. They are lifted up, held by the hand, and taught how to place their feet more firmly. You are the same. Every time you recognize something that does not come from the right source, every time you see that a bond no longer fits, every time you choose to return and ask me instead of running after old emotions, your spiritual senses are being sharpened. I do not require you to become perfect in a single day. I am making you mature through practice, through humility, through the moments when you say to me, Father, teach me to see as you see, to hear as you want me to hear, and to love as you want me to love. And now, I want you to understand the deeper purpose of all this preparation. I am building a temple within you, not with cold stones, but with obedience, peace, truth, and purified love. Your life is not merely the place where you exist. It is the place where my presence desires to dwell and shine forth. As it is written, you are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God dwells in you. 1 Corinthians 3:16. Therefore, I cannot allow just anything to occupy the inner rooms within you. I must purify the places that were once mixed with confusion. I must realign the motives that were once controlled by fear. I must bring light into the areas you once opened only because you were lonely. For the place where I desire to dwell must be kept in truth, and the place where I desire to flow must be guarded from mixed waters. Therefore, do not resist my correction. When I slow you down, it is so you will not step into what has not yet been tested. When I cause certain connections to weaken, it is so you will not lean on what cannot hold you. When I allow you to feel a holy unease, it is not to confuse you, but to stop you before you go too far. When I take from you something that once occupied your mind, it is so your eyes may become clear again. My hand never prunes in order to leave you barren. I prune so that you may bear more fruit, deeper fruit, pure fruit. What I remove cannot compare with what I am preparing. What I close cannot be greater than the road I am opening. What I allow to fall away cannot be more precious than the steadfastness I am building within you. Stand still within this teaching, my beloved child. Do not be too quick to desire a greater entrustment when the foundation within you still needs to be strengthened. Do not despise the small lessons, for they are what form great authority. Do not resent the seasons of discernment, for they are what protect the blessings ahead from being distorted by old immaturity. I am making you deeper before I make you wider. I am making you purer before I make you brighter. I am making you stronger before I place something heavier upon you. And when the time comes, you will understand that not one trial was meaningless. Not one separation was wasted. And not one time I corrected your heart was too severe. All things are working together to make you someone who can carry restoration without losing discernment, give without becoming depleted, love without being bound, and stand in the light without being blinded by what only disguises itself as light. Trust me, for the one who is training you is also the one preparing a throne of peace within your heart, so that everything I entrust to you will be born in wisdom, guarded in truth, and bear fruit for my glory. My beloved child, let your heart receive this word like a cool stream flowing through a land that has just endured a dry season. What you have passed through was not a dead end, nor was it proof that I had forgotten you in a narrow place. There was a season when I allowed everything around you to become smaller. Doors no longer opened as they once did. Familiar voices gradually moved farther away. Old supports no longer had the strength to uphold you. And connections that had once occupied space in your heart were brought into the light and purified down to the roots. You once felt as though you had been pressed into a narrow hallway, where there was too little space. The air felt too heavy, and the things you had clung to fell from your hands one by one. But I speak to you today, in the very place you thought was limitation, I was doing my deepest work. In that narrow place, I did not leave you behind. I was loosening invisible cords from you, removing old veils from your eyes, and realigning the rhythm of your soul so that you would not enter the new season with the sight of the old one. My child, there are things that, if I had not removed them in the narrow hallway, would have followed you into the spacious place and turned that very spaciousness into another prison. There were fears, habits of dependence, voices that caused you to doubt yourself, and relationships that dimmed the light within you. If they had remained in their place, you would have entered blessing and still not known how to live freely. Therefore, I pruned you, not because I despised you, but because I loved the life growing within you. As it is written, every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. John 15:2. My hand touching you was not meant to leave you empty, but to make room for a season of fruitfulness. You thought I was only cutting away, but in truth, I was also sowing. You thought I was only removing, but in truth, I was restoring things to their proper place. You thought I was only causing familiar things to fall away, but in truth, I was preparing within you a new capacity for what is purer, more enduring, and more aligned with your calling. Now I am leading you into a spacious place. This new space is not a reward you must strive to earn through perfection, nor is it a gift I only give when you no longer tremble. This is the place I prepared for you in love before you fully understood your journey. As David testified, he also brought me out into a broad place. He delivered me because he delighted in me. Psalm 18:19. I also bring you out, not because you have proved your worth by your own strength, but because you belong to me and I delight in you. This spacious place is where you no longer need to live under another person's shadow. No longer need to make your voice smaller in order to preserve fragile approval. No longer need to strain yourself to prove that you are worthy of being loved, worthy of being heard, and worthy of staying in the place I am opening. You are allowed to stand in the truth I have placed within you, not in the distorted image formed by old wounds. I see that your hands are still trembling. Beloved, I do not overlook that trembling. I know the old memories may still whisper. What if I move forward? What if I am hurt again? What if I trust wrongly again? What if this good thing also leaves? I do not rebuke you for those questions. A heart that has been wounded cannot immediately forget the feeling of pain. But I want you to know that fear may speak, yet it no longer has the right to rule. Fear may knock at the door, but it is no longer the master of the house. This time is different, not because the world no longer has waves, not because every person you meet will be perfect, not because no more trials will appear, but because you are different. You have been refined by fire without being consumed. You have learned how to pause before giving your heart. You have learned to bring your emotions before me. You have learned to recognize the difference between what stirs you for a moment and what brings lasting peace. Therefore, as it is written, "The Lord is on my side, I will not fear. What can man do to me?" Psalm 118:6. You do not move forward recklessly, but with the steadiness of one who knows they no longer walk alone. Remember the people of Israel when they stood before the Red Sea. Behind them was the sound of Pharaoh's chariots. Before them was the wide sea. On both sides was what they could not cross. In their eyes, it was the end of the road, but in my hands, it was the place where I opened a way. I did not lead them to the edge of the sea to destroy them, but so they would see that where man says, "There is no way left," I can still part the waters and make a path. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. Exodus 14:14. Do you see? Beloved, there are narrow hallways in your life that are like the edge of that sea. You thought you were being pressed in, but in truth, I was placing you before a new revelation. You thought there was no room left to breathe, but I was preparing a road that you would only understand when the waters parted. I never abandoned you in the narrow place. I was bringing you through it. And now, as you come into a spacious place, I am not only teaching you to step out, I am teaching you to remain in freedom without returning to old chains. Many were delivered from Egypt, yet still remembered the old pots of meat, because their minds had not yet learned how to live in the land of freedom. I do not want that for you. I do not want you to step into the spacious place and then begin searching for familiar bondages simply because they once gave you a sense of safety. I do not want you to be set free and still bow your head before old voices, old fears, and old connections that no longer belong to this season. I am teaching you to live as one who has been rescued, not only escaping what was old, but learning to receive what is new with a heart that has been purified. Beloved child, what I have arranged before you is not merely a passing comfort, not merely a gentle emotion to make up for heavy days. I am placing within you a peace deeper than feeling. It is a peace that does not depend on who stays, who leaves, who understands you, or who does not understand you. It is peace anchored in my presence, which the world cannot create and cannot steal away. As my Son has spoken, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. John 14:27. This peace is not the surface of water without wind, but the anchor that holds your soul even while the wind is still blowing. It does not make you weak in avoidance. It makes you gentle in strength, quiet in authority, and clear in every step. Therefore, do not fear the spacious place. Beloved, do not let the past teach you to doubt every door I open. Do not let old wounds convince you that even good things will break you. Walk slowly, but do not go backward. Be cautious, but do not close yourself off. Discern, but do not lose the tenderness I have placed within you. I brought you through the narrow hallway not so that you would live forever in a defensive posture, but so that you could stand in the spacious place with a heart that is both wise and free. You do not need to prove that you are worthy of the place where I am bringing you. You only need to stay near me. Listen to me, follow me, and let my peace become the light beneath your feet. Trust me in this new season. What I have pruned will bear fruit at the appointed time. What I have loosened will no longer bind your feet. What I have sown in tears will rise in life. You are not stepping into the spacious place as someone empty after loss, but as one prepared after purification. I held you in the narrow hallway, and I will also hold you in the open field. The hand that led you through the constricted place will not release you in the wide place. Lift up your head, my beloved child, for the light is no longer hidden as it once was. The road ahead is no longer measured by old fear, but by the faithfulness of the Father, the one who brought you out into a spacious place because he delighted in you. My beloved child, there are seasons in your life that you pass through without applause, without encouraging eyes upon you, and without anyone standing beside you to name the weariness you carry. There are stretches of road you walk as though moving through a fog, where every footprint you place is quickly covered by silence, where you begin to wonder whether your perseverance still holds any meaning. But hear me speak to you with the tenderness of a father. Not one of your steps has ever fallen outside my sight. What the world did not witness, I witnessed. What people did not acknowledge, I preserved. What you silently endured within your heart, I placed in the holy chamber of eternal memory. When you cried and did not want anyone to know, when you lowered your face and swallowed the ache rather than wound someone else, when you chose gentleness while your heart had every reason to turn to stone, I was nearer to you than you realized. As it is written, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, Psalm 34:18. I did not stand far away watching you suffer, but stood within that very pain to keep your soul from shattering. Do not think that hiddenness is proof that you have been forgotten. Many of the most precious things in my kingdom are not formed in noise, but conceived in the secret place. A seed does not sprout on a stage, it breaks open beneath the soil. The roots of a tree are seen by no one, yet it is the roots that keep the trunk standing firm when strong winds come. So it is with you, my beloved. The times you still whispered, I believe, while your heart was trembling. The days you still held on to kindness though it was not returned. The moments you kept walking even when you could not see a way out. All of these were taking root in me. Your Father, who sees in secret, will reward you. Matthew 6:4. Not because you performed faithfulness, but because you kept it when no one was watching. I never take lightly what you do with a pure heart. Heaven does not measure by noise. Heaven weighs by truth. At times, you look at the lives of others and see doors opening for them, their names being mentioned, their presence being welcomed, while you seem to remain on the margins of recognition. I know that feeling can make your heart sink, as though you were slower, smaller, or placed last. But my child, do not let the light shining on someone else make you doubt the flame I am nurturing within you. Another person's season does not cancel yours. The promise I placed upon them does not take away the portion I have reserved for you. When David was still out in the fields tending sheep, no one in the house thought of him when Samuel came to anoint, but I saw what others overlooked. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. Remember this, being unnamed by people does not mean I have not called you. Being overlooked by human beings does not mean heaven is silent. There are choices of mine that remain hidden until the appointed time, so that when I reveal them, no one can say they were arranged by the hand of man. I want you to remember Hannah, the woman who carried her pain into the temple in silent anguish. She did not pray with ornate words for others to admire. Her lips only moved under a sorrow so deep that Eli the priest thought she was drunk. But I understood that voiceless cry. I heard the prayer that others misunderstood. I saw the trembling faith hidden behind her tears. And from the place that seemed despised, I brought forth the birth of Samuel, a prophet who would hear my voice in the night and lead my people in a time of transition. Do you see? My beloved, there are prayers misunderstood by people but received by heaven. There are pains no one interprets rightly, yet in my hands they become the cradle of something holy. Do not be ashamed of the seasons, when all you can do is sigh before me. For the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. Romans 8:26. Even when you do not have enough words, I still understand your whole heart. My beloved child, let this word sink deeply not only into your thoughts, but into the most hidden place of your soul. Everything you do in my light is never meaningless. Even when no eyes witness it, even when no hand comforts you, even when no voice names your faithfulness, the things born of love, of obedience, of tenderness before me, all carry the imprint of eternity. People may forget, the crowd may pass by, even those close to you may not fully understand the depth of what you have endured, what you have given, and what you have quietly preserved. But I am not the one who merely glances at you and then leaves you unattended. I am the one who searches the heart. As it is written, the Lord searches every heart and understands every desire and every thought. 1 Chronicles 28:9. Therefore, what you offer in purity before me, no matter how small it may seem, is still received by heaven as a precious fragrance. Do not let your heart be bound by the need to be validated by people. I know you have often wondered whether your quiet efforts are truly seen, whether your silent sacrifices will dissolve into forgetfulness, whether the kindness you preserve when wounded is merely foolish in the eyes of the world. But my child, I do not need human applause in order to call you precious. I do not need the praise of the crowd to acknowledge what I have placed within you. When I declare that you belong to me, that word stands higher than every judgment spoken over you. When I place my hand upon your life, no rejection from man can erase that seal. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. Hebrews 6:10. So be at peace. My beloved, not one act of love from you has been lost. It is being kept by me for the appointed time to bear fruit. There are seasons when I hide you away, not because I am ashamed of you, but because I am protecting what is still tender within you from hands that do not yet know how to treasure it. There are voices I have not yet allowed you to lift publicly, not because you have nothing to say, but because I am making your words cleaner, deeper, and steadier, so that when the time comes for you to speak, your words will not arise merely from emotion, but from a life I have trained. Remember John the Baptist, who grew in the wilderness before his voice rang out along the Jordan River. The wilderness was not the place of his rejection. It was the place where I prepared him to become the voice that made ready the way. As it is written, a voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord. Isaiah 40:3. Do you see? My beloved, a barren place can be where the calling is refined. Hiddenness can be the cradle of mission. Silence is not always absence. Sometimes silence is the holy chamber where I am restoring order within your soul. Therefore, do not be quick to call the unnoticed days empty days. In my kingdom, many great things are built with small stones no one counts. A prayer in the late hours of the night. A moment when you restrain your mouth from bitterness. A time when you choose forgiveness while the memory still hurts. A time when you continue to believe though your heart sees no sign of change. These things may not shake the world in the eyes of people, but they strengthen the foundation of your soul before me. Whoever is faithful with very little will also be faithful with much. Luke 16:10. Do not despise small acts done with a great heart. I often take what the world considers insignificant and use it to open what no one expected. Remember Ruth, my beloved. She did not enter history by way of a throne. She did not begin with a radiant announcement, nor was she celebrated by a crowd. She simply followed Naomi quietly, gleaning the leftover grain in the field, keeping covenant loyalty in a circumstance that could easily have caused someone to turn away. Yet on that ordinary field, I was weaving an extraordinary stream. Her hidden faithfulness brought her into the house of Boaz, then into the line of David, and ultimately into the genealogy of Christ. Do you see? One faithful choice in a small day can echo through many generations. When Ruth said, "Your people will be my people and your God, my God," Ruth 1:16, it was not merely the statement of a daughter-in-law, it was the yes of a soul recognized by heaven. So it is with you, every time you choose faithfulness when nothing is guaranteed. I am writing lines into your life that you cannot yet fully read today. Perhaps right now, you only see delay, but I see preparation. Perhaps you only hear silence, but I hear the sound of roots growing beneath the ground. Perhaps you only feel as though you have been placed behind, but I know exactly where I am positioning you. Do not compare your process with someone else's, for every soul has its own sacred rhythm in my hands. The lily does not bloom according to the urging of the grass in the field, and the olive tree does not bear fruit according to the season of the vine. I have appointed your time with my wisdom. As it is written, He has made everything beautiful in its time, Ecclesiastes 3:11. If I have not yet revealed you, it means I am still completing what must be finished within you. If I have not yet opened that door, it means I am making your feet steady enough to walk through it without losing your soul. My beloved child, true peace begins when you stop trying to prove that you are worthy of love. You do not need to chase recognition in order to have value. You do not need to exhaust yourself to be called worthy. You do not need to raise your voice so loudly just so others will know you exist. I know you. I call you by name. I have held you within my gaze from before you even understood yourself. When the world questions you, return to the word I have spoken over you. When silence causes you to waver, remember that my sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. What makes you steady is not how many people understand you, but the fact that you know you are fully known by me. Therefore, remain in this holy rest, not the rest of surrendering in defeat, but the rest of a soul that knows it is being led. You do not need to rush to open doors I have not opened. You do not need to fight for a position I have not yet entrusted to you. You do not need to pull the light toward yourself by your own strength. When the appointed time comes, what I have placed within you will be revealed by grace, not by striving. Just as the sun does not need to beg the dawn for permission to rise, you do not need to beg the world for permission to shine in the time I have appointed. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will bring it to pass. Psalm 37:5. Your part is faithfulness. My part is fulfillment. So today, I place my hand upon the weary places within you and speak, be at peace. I saw you when you were unseen. I heard you when no answer came. I remembered you when others forgot. You are not a wandering soul drifting through an undefined emptiness. You are a beloved child called, kept, and covered within my covenant. My love for you does not change according to human recognition, does not diminish in seasons of silence, and does not withdraw on the days when your strength is faint. Keep walking, but walk in peace. Keep doing what is right, but do it with a gentle heart. Keep loving, but do not fear that you will be forgotten, for I am the one who remembers you with everlasting love. And in my sight, you are always guarded, always cherished, and always mine. My beloved child, there will come a day when you no longer have to stand in the midst of life explaining who you are, no longer have to use weary words to prove that your heart is pure, no longer have to brace yourself beneath the weight of eyes that do not yet understand your story. I know there have been seasons when you wanted to speak up, not because you were proud, but because it hurt to be misunderstood, not because you craved attention, but because you simply longed for the truth within you to be seen fairly. But I say to you, let your hands release the work of defending your own name. For your name is safer in my hands than in all your efforts to justify yourself. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Psalm 37:7 is not a call into passivity, but an invitation into a higher trust, where your soul is no longer pulled along by the need to be understood by people immediately. There are truths that do not need you to shout loudly in order to remain true. There are works of mine within you that do not need a spotlight in order to carry weight. When I complete what I am building in your life, the fruit itself will speak on your behalf, the peace upon your face, the wisdom in your words, the gentleness in your responses, and the steadiness in your steps will become a testimony no one can deny. You do not need to display yourself, because I do not lift you up through hollow self-promotion. I cause what is true within you to mature until others can no longer keep calling it coincidence. As my son said, by their fruits you will know them. Matthew 7:20. Therefore, what I have sown in you will be recognized not by the sound of your own introduction, but by the harvest I cause it to produce. So when you step again into places that once remained silent about you, do not enter with resentment. Do not walk in as one who must demand back every fragment of recognition that was lost. Walk in as one who has been preserved by me through the fire, one whom I have taught that your worth does not rest in the mouths of others, one whose foundation I have restored in the hidden depths. The rooms that once did not call your name will no longer have the power to define you. The doors that once closed before you will no longer be the measure of your destiny. When I bring you back, I do not do so for you to triumph over others in pride, but so that my faithfulness may be seen through a soul that chose not to become bitter in a season of being overlooked. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Psalm 23:5. But that table is not set so you may take revenge. It is set to prove that my hand was still nourishing you, even when others thought you had been forgotten. Remember Joseph, my beloved. When he was young, he saw dreams that even his own family could not accept. He was thrown into a pit, sold away, falsely accused, imprisoned, and there were long years when the promise seemed buried beneath the dust of injustice. Yet through all those years, I never lost sight of him. I did not need Joseph to go from place to place, explaining that he was innocent, that he had a calling, that he had been treated wrongly. I allowed time, wisdom, circumstance, and famine to become witnesses. On the day he was brought before Pharaoh, what I had placed within him became necessary for an entire nation. When he met his brothers again, Joseph did not stand as a man seeking revenge, but in holy understanding, you intended to harm me. But God intended it for good. Genesis 50:20. Do you see? There are places where the pit seems to be the end of the story, but in my hands, the pit is only an opening chapter of a greater lifting. I know the whisper that has tried to wear you down. It does not always come like a violent roar. Often it comes softly, steadily, and subtly. It says that you do not matter. It says your obedience changes nothing. It says your quiet prayers only dissolve into the empty air. It says that if no one sees, then what you do has no value. But my child, discern that voice from mine. My voice will never make you despise faithfulness. My voice will never cause you to feel ashamed because you have loved, endured, forgiven, and trusted. My voice may correct you, but it always leads you back to life. The voice of deception makes you shrink, doubt, grow bitter, and want to abandon what is holy. As it is written, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life, and have it abundantly. John 10:10. If a voice is stealing hope from you, killing purity within you, and destroying your trust in me, then you must know this: it is not the voice of the Father who loves you. Do not let darkness convince you that your light is insignificant simply because it has not yet been placed on a lampstand. A lamp in a hidden night still drives back the darkness around it. A prayer no one hears still reaches my throne. A righteous choice made in private still strengthens your soul. Darkness fears these things because it knows that hidden obedience is the soil where I sow the most enduring transformations. It wants you to give up before the seed breaks open. It wants you to despise the season of sowing so that you will never step into the season of harvest. But I say to you, let us not grow weary in doing good. For at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. Your harvest does not come according to the urgency of fear, but according to the wise timing of my hand. Therefore, when you are misunderstood, let your heart lean on me before you try to correct everything others think. When you are forgotten, let my presence remind you that you are still remembered with everlasting love. When no one acknowledges the good you have done, offer it to me as an unmixed sacrifice. You do not need to turn your life into a courtroom where you must constantly present evidence to prove your uprightness. I am the one who bears witness for you. I know what happened in rooms no one saw. I know the motives behind your actions. I know the battles you have won that no one called victories. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. And that stillness is not weakness. It is the strength of one who knows the final battle does not rest in their own hands, but in the hands of the Almighty. Let me heal within you the need to be vindicated immediately. There are vindications that come too early and only enlarge the ego, but vindication that comes at the right time brings glory to me. There are answers I delay, not because I have not heard, but because I am making you free enough that when the answer comes, you will no longer be dependent upon it. I want you to become so strong that even when others are silent, you do not lose your peace, even when they do not yet understand. You do not lose your love, even when they do not yet recognize you. You do not forget to whom you belong. When you reach that place, you will no longer be led by the reactions of the crowd, but by my quiet yet powerful affirmation within your soul. And then, my beloved, the very things that once stood against you will become the backdrop against which my grace is seen more clearly. The seasons of being hidden will make the light brighter on the day I reveal you. The misunderstandings that once wounded you will no longer have enough power to define you, because you will carry a peace that cannot be fabricated. The silences that once frightened you will become evidence that I had been working in secret far longer than you imagined. When the time comes, you will not need to lift yourself up, because I know how to place you in the right place, at the right time, and in the right way, not so that you may be exalted like an idol, but so that people may look upon your life and recognize this: only my hand could preserve a soul through so many trials and still leave it tender, pure, and full of hope. So today, rest in me. Do not fight lies by throwing yourself into endless proving. Resist them by remaining in the truth. The truth is that you are loved by me. The truth is that what you do in me is never lost. The truth is that I am writing a story greater than what you can see. The truth is that silence is not a sign that I am absent. Often it is the space I use to complete the deepest works. Keep your heart pure. Keep your steps gentle. And keep your eyes fixed on me. One day, you will look back and understand that I was never late, never forgetful, and never neglectful. I was only making all things complete, so that when your story is opened, it will not speak only of you, but will resound like a song of my faithfulness that never changes. My beloved child, listen with a soul that has ceased from haste. for I am placing within you a deeper understanding of how I uphold what belongs to me. There will come a day when you no longer have to stand before cold gazes explaining who you are, no longer have to use words to prove that you have value, no longer have to try to pull the attention of the world toward yourself as though your existence is only confirmed when someone sees you. I did not create you to live by the applause of man, nor did I create you to exhaust yourself in the race for recognition. I am the one who called your name before the world knew you. I am the one who saw what I placed within you before you fully understood it yourself. And when the time I have appointed arrives, I will not need to display you through noise, but will cause the fruit in your life to ripen until no one can deny that my hand is upon you. As it is written, he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Philippians 1:6. What I began in you will not be left unfinished, will not be buried, and will not be erased by anyone's silence. Therefore, do not fear the places that once said nothing about you. Do not let the rooms that once overlooked you become wounds that govern your soul. Do not let the people who once failed to recognize you cause you to doubt my choosing. There will be a time when those very places that once remained silent become the places where my faithfulness resounds most clearly. Not so that you may enter with pride, like someone reclaiming spoils for a wounded ego, but so that you may enter with the humility of one who knows they have been kept by grace. When I bring you back into spaces that once did not know how to receive you, I do not do so for you to answer with bitterness, but so the light within you may testify that I have healed, built, refined, and made you steadier than before. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Luke 14:11. Not with the empty exaltation of the world, but with the holy lifting that comes from my hand, placing you in the right position without causing your soul to lose its purity. You do not need to turn your life into a constant courtroom, where you must stand and present evidence to defend your uprightness. I know what happened. I know the words others spoke unfairly. I know the moments when you were misunderstood while your heart only wanted to do what was right. I know the times you chose silence, not because you were weak, but because you did not want to sow more wounds. And I also know the times when you wanted to defend yourself, wanted to make things clear, wanted to prove that you were not what others thought. But my beloved, there are battles that, if you enter them by yourself, will cost you your peace before you ever reach justice. Yet if you entrust them to me, I will use circumstances, timing, outcomes, and harvest to bear witness for you. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14 does not mean you are forced into powerless silence. It means you are invited to place the burden of vindication into the hands of the one who never judges wrongly. Remember Moses, my beloved. There was a time when his own brother and sister spoke against him, and Moses did not immediately lift himself up to defend his position. Scripture says that he was very humble, more than anyone else on the face of the earth. And I myself called Aaron and Miriam forward to judge what they had spoken. Moses did not need to build a monument for himself, because I bore witness for him. With him I speak mouth to mouth. Numbers 12:8. Do you see? There are those whom I defend not because they argue better, but because they know how to keep their hearts in humility when they are wounded. I do not forget the one who guards their mouth from bitterness. I do not abandon the one who chooses to entrust their reputation to me. And when I rise to bear witness, that testimony carries more weight than every defense you could ever speak for yourself. Yet I know that another voice has tried to slip into you. It does not always roar like a storm. Many times it only whispers very softly, but repeats itself for a long time. It tells you that no one sees you. It tells you that your obedience changes nothing. It makes you look at your hidden sacrifices as though they were dust slipping through your fingers. It causes you to wonder whether your kindness is foolish, whether your patience is useless, whether the light you are trying to keep is too small against a night so thick. But I say to you, discern that voice. It is not mine. My voice may correct you, but it will never make you despise what is holy. My voice may lead you to repentance, but it always opens a way toward hope. The lies of darkness, however, pull you into despair, make you shrink back, make you want to give up, and make you believe you have been forgotten in a meaningless emptiness. As it is written, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. So every time you choose to remain in the light, even if it is only one small choice in the depth of night, darkness has already failed before me. Do not underestimate those hidden victories. There are victories that are not announced with silver trumpets, yet they are recorded in eternity. The time you did not answer with bitterness when provoked, that was a victory. The time you prayed for someone who once hurt you, that was a victory. The time you continued doing what was right when no one praised you, that was a victory. The time you did not allow misunderstanding to turn you into a hardened person, that was a victory. Do you think these things are small? No. My beloved, they are the quiet stones building the temple within you. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. The season of sowing is often quiet, but the harvest will have its own voice. The seed makes no noise while it lies in the soil, but when the tree blossoms, no one can still say that the ground was empty. I want you to understand that the silence before was not always absence. Sometimes it was the space I used to shape your story more completely. If everything had been explained too soon, you might have received a little relief, but not learned deep freedom. If everyone had recognized you immediately, perhaps you would have leaned on their voices more than mine. If every misunderstanding had been resolved in a single moment, you might not have had time to learn that your identity does not rest in the mouths of others. Therefore, in my wisdom, there are times when I allow the silence to continue, not to wound you, but to cut off your dependence on outward validation. I am teaching you to stand firm beneath my gaze before you step into places filled with the eyes of people. Then, when my season comes, the witnesses I have prepared will not need to speak with noisy words. Your maturity will testify. Your peace will testify. The doors that open at the right time will testify. The results born from faithfulness will testify. Those who once remained silent may see what they did not see before. But by then, your heart will no longer hunger for recognition as it once did. You will not need them to bow their heads in order for you to feel that you have won. You will simply know, quietly, that I have been faithful, and that is true freedom. When vindication comes, yet your heart is no longer controlled by it when recognition appears, yet you still keep your humility. When others finally see, yet you do not forget that I saw you long before anyone else did. Therefore, my beloved child, guard your heart from bitterness, for bitterness will turn your season of waiting into a prison. Guard your mouth from words born out of woundedness, for not every true word needs to be spoken while the soul is still unsettled. Keep your eyes fixed on me, for only in my gaze will you remember who you are. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible in my story. You are a beloved child, being taught, trained, covered, and prepared. When you no longer need to prove yourself by your own strength, you will begin to walk in the gentle authority of one who knows they belong to me. Today, I place peace upon the places within you that were once wearied by lies. I pour light over the corners of your heart that once doubted whether your obedience was useless. I remind you once again, what is done in me will not be lost. What you sow with tears will not be forgotten. What you keep in humility will not remain buried forever. At the appointed time, I will let the fruit speak. Let the harvest bear witness. And let your story tell not only of your endurance, but of my faithfulness. Remain still in trust, not still because you are afraid, but still because you know that the one who fights for you has never lost a battle. I am with you. I see you. I keep you. And the light I have placed within you will continue to shine until every darkness must retreat before my glory. My beloved child, do not despise the things you think are small, simply because no one sees them. In my kingdom, it is not always the loudest thing that carries weight. And it is not only what many people know about that is called precious. There are prayers that have not yet become words, only trembling within your chest. Yet I have heard them fully. There are lines you have written in silence, thinking they may never touch anyone. Yet I have read them as an offering from the hidden depths of your soul. There are sighs you have released in the night, when you no longer had strength to arrange them into words. But to me, those sighs did not dissolve into emptiness. They rose before me like the fragrance of a heart still seeking its Father. Do you think I only hear strong, fluent prayers, filled with faith? No, my beloved, I also hear broken prayers, choked sobs, and silences where tears have spoken in place of your mouth. As it is written, before they call, I will answer while they are still speaking. I will hear Isaiah 65:24. Therefore, even when you cannot yet name your pain, I have known it already. There are times when you only whisper within your heart, I am so tired, and immediately afterward you condemn yourself, as though that weariness were proof that your faith is weak, that you are not strong enough, that you have disappointed me. But I do not see you that way. I am not a father who loves you only when you stand upright, who draws near only when you speak beautiful words, who is pleased only when you hide the fractures within your heart. I am the one who upholds you when your knees tremble. I am the one who sits near you in the hours when you no longer know how to pray. The Lord upholds all who fall and lifts up all who are bowed down. Psalm 145:14. So when you are weary, come closer to me. Do not run away. Your weakness does not push me away. It opens a place for my tenderness to touch you more deeply. I want you to understand this. I remember the times you grew weak, yet still did not let go. Not to condemn you for being weak, but to honor the perseverance you chose in the midst of that weakness. There is a beautiful faithfulness in the one who keeps walking, even when their feet are in pain. There is a precious kind of faith in the one who still lifts their eyes to me when their heart no longer feels the light. There is a sacred fragrance in the one who remains tender when life has given them enough reasons to become bitter. People may only see the moment you slowed down, but I see the whole battle you overcame in order to still be here. Others may hear you say very little, but I know how many times, behind that silence, you held yourself back from collapsing. God will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. Hebrews 6:10. So the things you quietly endure and trust are not omitted from my holy memory. Remember Elijah, my beloved. He once stood on Mount Carmel and saw fire fall from heaven, saw my power revealed mightily before the eyes of the people. But soon after, he ran into the wilderness in deep exhaustion, sat beneath a broom tree, and said he no longer wanted to go on. I did not rebuke him with a cold voice. I did not tell him to be strong immediately. I sent an angel to touch him, to give him bread and water, so he could eat, rest, and only then continue the journey. Do you see? There are times when what the soul needs first is not a rebuke, but my care. The angel of the Lord came back a second time and touched him and said, "Get up and eat." For the journey is too much for you. 1 Kings 19:7. I say the same to you. Receive my sustaining help. For you were not created to walk this whole road by your own strength. And my child, do not think that among the countless prayers rising from the earth, your voice is lost. I do not hear humanity as an anonymous crowd. I hear each child with a distinct and personal love. You are not swallowed up in the multitude, not lost among millions of sorrows, not pushed to the back because someone else seems more urgent, more worthy, or stronger. Your name is not dim before my eyes. Your history is not faint in my hands. I know every season you have passed through, everything you have lost, every dream you buried because you thought there was no hope left. As it is written, I have called you by name, you are mine, Isaiah 43:1. When I call your name, it is not a vague or general call. It is the intimate recognition of the one who formed you and still holds you. Perhaps you have often felt left behind, as though others have entered their season while you are still standing before a door that is not opened. You see, promises seemingly come to others more quickly. Answers seemingly fall into their hands more easily, while your portion still feels like waiting, stillness, and an unexplained in-between. But I say to you, what looks like delay in your eyes is not forgetfulness in mine. There are things I have not yet given because I am making them fuller. There are doors I have not yet opened because I am preparing both you and the place you will enter. There are promises that have not yet taken shape, not because they have died, but because they are being nourished in the hidden place of my timing. He has made everything beautiful in its time, Ecclesiastes 3:11. So let your heart rest in my wisdom, instead of wounding itself with the clock of man. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. My beloved, that means you are not merely remembered in passing, not mentioned only for a moment, not a thought that moves briefly across my heart. You are nearer to me than you realize. When you feel forgotten, I am still looking upon you. When you think your prayer has not reached heaven, it is already before me. When you imagine that the current of life has pushed you to the margins, I am still holding you at the center of my care. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Isaiah 49:16 is not a vague comfort, it is a covenant word. What is engraved in my hands is not erased by time, not blurred by mistakes, not lost in the dark season of night. You may forget yourself in weariness, but I do not forget you. Therefore, learn to look at the things that have not yet come with eyes of trust. What you have not yet received is not necessarily something denied. What you have not yet seen does not mean I have not been working. What has not reached your hands today may be taking shape in a fullness that your present vision cannot yet fully comprehend. Just as Abraham had to pass through long years between the promise and the birth of the child, you too have spaces between what I have spoken and what you are able to see. But that space is not where the promise dies, it is where faith matures. Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. Genesis 15:6. I am not only concerned with bringing you to the reward, I am also forming within you a heart that knows how to trust me even when the reward is not yet in your hands. So today, when you feel small, remember that I do not measure you by your feelings. When you feel weary, remember that I do not draw away from the brokenhearted. When you feel slower than others, remember that I never mistake the timing. And when you have only enough strength left to sigh, let that sigh become the simplest prayer. Father, please keep me. I will keep you. I will lift you. I will complete what I have begun. Wait a little longer, not in despair, but in peace. Not because you have been left behind, but because I am preparing something greater than what you could imagine for yourself. You are not drifting. You are not forgotten. You are not erased from my story. You are the child I love, with everlasting love, the one I remember with unchanging faithfulness, and the one I hold in a palm that no power can open to steal you away from me. My beloved child, let me speak to you with tenderness, but also with deep truth. Not every closed door is an obstruction, and not every season of waiting is a sign that you have been forgotten. There are things I withhold, not because I want to hurt you, but because I love you too much to give you something that could cause your soul to break under its weight before you are ready to carry it. If I placed you in a spacious place while your inner foundation was still trembling, that very spacious place would become dangerous ground. If I allowed the light of people to shine on you too early, before you had learned how to remain in my light, praise could become a chain. Recognition could become a distorted mirror, and what you once called a blessing could quietly draw you away from my presence. Therefore, do not resent the hidden seasons. Do not see them as a prison. See them as the place where I nurture you, cover you, restore the rhythm of your heart, and teach you that the most precious thing is not to be seen by people, but to be near me in truth. Whoever dwells in the secret place of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm 91:1. And that secret place is not where you are forgotten, it is where you are covered. I know you have longed to step out, longed for what is within your heart to be recognized, and wondered why doors seem to open for others while they open slowly for you. But my child, I am not only preparing the place you will enter, I am preparing you for that place. I am not only concerned with whether an opportunity is given to you, I am concerned with whether you will still keep your soul pure when that opportunity comes. There are people who ask to be lifted up, but when they are lifted up, their hearts lose their tenderness. There are people who ask to be used in great ways, but when they are seen, they forget the hand that raised them from the low place. I do not want that to happen to you. I do not want blessing to become a burden, nor revelation to become a garment too heavy for your shoulders. That is why I have taught you in silence what the stage could never teach: how to worship when no one hears, how to be faithful when no one praises, how to rejoice in me when there is no outward sign, and how to say with your whole soul, Father, as long as I have you, I still have enough. Remember Moses, my beloved, before he stood before Pharaoh, before the staff in his hand became a sign of power, before the Red Sea parted before the people. He had long years in the wilderness of Midian. The one who had grown up in a palace had to relearn smallness among the sheep, had to allow his old haste to be cooled, had to let the ambition of human strength be replaced by dependence on me. In the eyes of people, that wilderness may have looked like burial, but in my plan, it was the school of humility. When I appeared to him in the bush that burned but was not consumed, I did not call a man who was searching for a stage. I called a man whom the wilderness had softened. And when Moses said, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" Exodus 3:11. I did not answer by exalting his ability, but by saying, "I will be with you." Do you see? What makes a person able to step into their mission is not showy self-confidence, but the certainty that I go with them in the same way. My beloved, I have led you through seasons no one saw in order to separate you from the need to live by the eyes of others. I allowed you to taste silence so you would realize that my voice is still clear enough within your heart. I let you pass through days when your name was not called, so you would understand that your identity does not rest in the mouth of the crowd. I allowed certain things to slow down so you would learn not to mistake delay for rejection. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from Him. Psalm 62:1. That word is not merely a sacred hymn. It is the rock I am placing beneath your feet. When your soul knows how to rest in me, you will no longer be tossed back and forth by applause or silence, by praise or criticism. by open doors or closed doors. You will stand firm, not because circumstances have become easier, but because your roots have grown deeper in me. And now, as you begin to stop chasing the light of people and seek the light of my face instead, as you no longer beg to be seen at any cost, but only long to be near me in truth, as you have learned faithfulness in ordinary days, this is the very sign that a new movement is drawing near. I do not lift up the one who is still controlled by being lifted up. I do not entrust great things to a heart that still regards the gift as greater than the giver. But when you have learned to bow before me in the secret place, when you have learned to surrender back to me even the things you once desired most, when you can place your hand upon your dream and say, Father, if this does not keep me close to you, then keep me from it. Then you have entered a new depth of maturity. Humility comes before honor, Proverbs 15:33. And that humility does not make you smaller. It makes you spacious enough to carry what I am about to entrust to you without losing yourself. The season of transition has begun, my beloved, but it does not always come with thunder shaking the heavens. Often, my shifting comes like the dawn. It does not tear the night apart in a single moment, but gently lays light upon the earth in layers. At first, there is only a thin brightness at the horizon, and then, little by little, darkness loses its right to rule, not because it is argued with, but because the light keeps increasing. You may not yet see everything with your natural eyes, but your soul has already sensed it. The atmosphere is changing. The rhythm is different. The things that once felt heavy are gradually losing their weight, and the places that once seemed closed are beginning to tremble before my command. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. Proverbs 4:18. You do not need to force the dawn to come faster. You only need to stand facing the light and trust that I know how to cause the new day to rise. Do not be afraid if, in this season of transition, you feel both hopeful and trembling. That is natural when a soul moves from hiddenness into revelation. You have grown accustomed to the quiet shadows. So when the light begins to touch you, you may not be sure how to stand. But I will teach you. I will not bring you into a new place and leave you to manage it with old strength. I will go before you to open the way, behind you to guard you, and within you to keep your peace. Remember Joshua standing before the Jordan River. He could not use Moses' former experience to cross by an old method. He had to listen for new instruction for a new time. When the priests placed their feet in the water, the river parted. There are pathways that open only when you step forward in obedience. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Your courage does not lie in knowing every detail, but in knowing that I am with you. Therefore, keep your heart tender as the light increases. Do not let the season of revelation awaken old desires to be praised, to prove yourself, or to be placed above others. If I bring you forth, it is not so you may become the center of admiration, but so your life may become a window through which others can see my faithfulness. If I open a door, it is not so you may build a tower for your own name, but so you may enter into service with a heart that has been purified. If I allow fruit to appear, it is not so you may forget the roots, but so you may become even more grateful for the hidden place that caused you to grow. Let the one who boasts boast in the Lord. 1 Corinthians 1:31. When you remember this, being lifted up will not make you proud, it will draw you into deeper worship. I want you to be at peace with what is taking place in the unseen realm around your life. Not every sign of change comes through great events. Sometimes change begins with a lightness in your heart that you did not have before. a clarity in your mind, a separation from an old fear, an ability to say no to what once pulled you down, a renewed desire to pray, a small but persistent faith rising from ground that had once been dry. That is my dawn within you. That is the sign that I am setting right what was out of order, renewing your strength, and preparing you to cross a threshold you were not yet steady enough to enter before. Do not despise these quiet movements, for many great deliverances begin with a very small turning within the heart. So, my beloved child, remain nearer to me than ever before. Do not run ahead of the light. Do not draw back because you fear the light. Walk with me in the rhythm I have set. What I am doing does not need you to force it, nor does it need you to build it up by yourself. What comes from me will carry the mark of peace, purity, and right timing. Let me continue strengthening the inner places of your life, so that when the outer things change, you will not be swept away. Let me continue teaching you the joy of the secret place, so that when public joy comes, you will still know where your source is. Let me continue to be your greatest reward, so that every other reward becomes only another reason for you to bow your head in gratitude. I am doing a new thing, but I am doing it with the hands of a father not hurried, not mistaken, and not forgetting a single thing. The dawn is rising, my beloved, and when the light spreads fully, you will understand that the hidden years did not slow you down. They made you steady enough to enter the season I had prepared for you long ago. My beloved child, understand with a quiet heart that not every time I hold you back means you are unloved, and not every unopened door means you have been rejected. There are things you sincerely desire, but if I gave them too soon, those very things could become a weight that causes your soul to stagger. If I placed you beneath the gaze of many people while the deep places within you still needed healing, that light would no longer remain a pure blessing, but could become a pressure that makes you strain simply to survive. If I opened wide pathways while your heart was still secretly seeking human approval more than my presence, then what you thought was elevation could become the road that pulls you away from me. Therefore, do not be quick to call the hidden season forgetfulness. Do not call delay failure. There are things I delay not to hurt you, but to protect you from what you are not yet steady enough to carry. As it is written, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Psalm 23:1. My shepherding is not only leading you beside green pastures, sometimes it is also keeping you from pastures that appear green but are not yet your portion. I have placed you in seasons where few people could see you in order to teach you what applause could never teach. Bright lights can make a person noticed, but they cannot make a soul deep. Recognition can bring the heart a moment of joy, but it cannot replace the peace that comes from being near me. There are lessons that can only be written in the secret place, where you no longer perform for anyone, no longer try to prove anything, no longer decorate yourself in order to be loved more, but simply stand before me with all your truth. It is there that I teach you that silence is not emptiness, but space to hear my voice. I teach you that solitude is not abandonment, but the place where the soul is separated from the noises that make it lose its way. I teach you that the greatest joy does not come from being named before a crowd, but from knowing that you are known by me in the hidden depths. Your Father, who sees in secret, Matthew 6:6. And if I see you, then you are no longer invisible. There were times when you wondered why you still had to wait while others seemed to step forward more quickly. I know that question. I also know the tender sorrow behind it. But my child, I do not prepare everyone in the same mold. Some vessels need only a little fire, but there are vessels made to hold precious oil, and they must endure heat longer, more steadily, and more deeply. I do not want you to be used for only a moment and then break under pressure. I want you to become a vessel that can hold what I pour in without cracking from pride, without tipping over from fear, without being confused by human attention. In a large house, there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay, some for honorable use and some for dishonorable. 2 Timothy 2:20. Yet what I am doing in you is purifying, strengthening, and cleansing you, so you may become a useful vessel in my hand, not to boast in yourself, but to carry holy purpose. Remember Esther, my beloved, before she was brought into a position where she could save her people. She passed through a long season of preparation, without noise and without haste. She did not enter the king's palace with the impatience of someone desperate to be seen, but with guidance, humility, and wisdom forged in quietness. When the appointed time came, Mordecai reminded her that perhaps she had come to her royal position for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. Do you see? There are positions I do not give merely to make you stand out. I give them because of a purpose greater than you. There are elevations that are not meant for you to be admired, but so that through you many may be saved. Many things may be restored, and my name may be exalted. If Esther had entered that season with pride, she could have lost the mission, but because she knew how to fast, how to listen, and how to act at the right time, what had been hidden within her became an instrument of deliverance in my hand. In the same way, my beloved, I have taught you to remain in the secret place so that the stage will not distort you. I have allowed you to pass through days when no one called your name, so that when your name is mentioned, your heart will not treat it as the source of your life. I have let you experience sufficiency in me, so that when you receive other gifts, you will not worship the gift instead of the giver. I have touched the places in your heart that once longed to prove yourself, that once ached from not being recognized, that once feared being left behind, so you could say with sincerity, Father, if I have you, I still have the best portion. Just as Mary sat at the Lord's feet to listen to his word and was told that she had chosen the better part, Luke 10:42. I am leading you to that same place, where my presence becomes an inheritance greater than everything that can be seen. And precisely when you stop chasing the light of people, I begin to make you more ready for the light I give. When you no longer beg the world to recognize you, but only long to walk nearer to me, when you no longer use busyness to prove your worth, but know how to remain in quiet obedience, when you no longer see being lifted up as the only evidence that I love you, but know that my love is already complete, even on the day you are hidden, that is when something within you has changed. I can only lift up the one who is no longer intoxicated by being lifted. I can only entrust more to the one who has learned that gifting is not greater than presence. An open door is not more precious than my voice. And success can never replace holiness. Humility comes before honor, Proverbs 18:12. So the humbling you learned in the secret place does not diminish you. It prepares you to receive without being destroyed. Now the season of transition has begun, but do not look for it only in loud sounds. Often, the deepest things I do come very gently, like the dawn that does not need to argue with the darkness, but simply spreads quietly until the night must withdraw. My light is touching your life layer by layer. Perhaps outwardly there are still things that have not changed, but inwardly you no longer respond as you once did. Perhaps the door has not yet opened wide, but your heart has heard the hinges begin to move. Perhaps your natural eyes have not yet seen enough signs, but your soul has sensed that the atmosphere is different. A lightness where there used to be heaviness, a clarity where there used to be fog, a strange peace where there used to be anxiety. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day, Proverbs 4:18. You do not need to force the light to come faster. You only need to stand firm in the direction I am leading. Do not fear that quiet change. Do not doubt it, simply because it does not yet look like what you imagined. I do not always announce a new season with thunder. Sometimes I begin by changing the appetite of your soul, causing you to no longer crave the things that once distracted you. Sometimes I begin by lifting the heaviness from an old memory. Sometimes I begin by giving you the courage to say no to something that once kept you small. Sometimes I begin with a simple prayer, returning to your lips after many dry days. These signs are not small before me. They are the first movements of a new season, like the sound of water from far away, announcing that the river is coming. When Elijah sent his servant to look toward the sea, at first there was only a cloud as small as a man's hand, yet from that small sign, a great rain came after a long drought. 1 Kings 18:44. So it is with you. Do not despise the small cloud in your life. What begins small in my hand can become a rain of restoration. Therefore, my beloved child, guard your heart as the light begins to increase. Do not return to the old thirst to be admired. Do not let revelation make you forget the lessons of the secret place. Do not let an open door draw you away from my feet. If I bring you forth, it is so you may reflect me, not so you may build a name for yourself. If I place you in a wider space, it is so my life may flow through you, not so you may exalt yourself. If I allow others to see the fruit, remember that the roots still remain in the place no one sees. Let the one who boasts boast in the Lord. 2 Corinthians 10:17. For every good thing within you has its source in my grace. Walk slowly, but steadily. Keep your heart open, yet remain watchful. Receive what I am doing, but do not leave the humility that has kept you safe. I did not keep you in the quiet shadows to slow you down. I kept you there so you could mature. I did not delay in order to take away your joy. I delayed so that your joy would not be mixed with the need to be seen. I did not hide you because you had no value. I hid you because what is precious is often protected before it is released in the right season. Now, as the dawn begins to slip through the windows of your life, remain nearer to me than ever before. I am the light you need, the reward you seek, the giver, and also your inheritance. And when the season of revelation comes in its fullness, you will not only rejoice because you have stepped forward, you will bow your head and know that it was the secret place itself that made you steady enough to carry the light without losing your soul. Therefore, now that the light around your life is growing thicker, now that the atmosphere within your soul is no longer the same as before, I want you to hold on to the most precious thing the hidden season has taught you: tenderness. Do not let the signs of a new season make you hasty. Do not let the first trace of light cause you to forget that dawn still must spread according to my rhythm. Do not despise the hours known by no one but me, because it was in those very hours that you were formed. In the place where you prayed and no one answered, I deepened the well within you. In the place where you remained faithful, though your name was not called, I cut away your dependence on praise. In the place where you wept yet still said, I believe, I placed within you a strength that is not showy, but enduring. As it is written, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Matthew 5:8. What I desire to preserve within you before the season of revelation is not only talent, but purity of heart. My beloved child, Heaven's book has not closed over your life. Do not think your story has been abandoned halfway, like a forgotten page left on a table. New pages are being opened, but I open them with wisdom, not haste. Your name is not drowned out among countless cries. I call your name clearly, without confusion, without dimness, without distance. As it is written, I have called you by name, you are mine. Isaiah 43:1. When I call, your entire history lies before me. The seasons you have passed through, the things you have lost, the tears you could not count, the times you wanted to let go yet still clung to me. No part of you has slipped away from my holy remembrance. But listen carefully to this. The word I speak over you now is not another word of delay meant to disappoint you, but a final word of preparation meant to make you steady. The last steps before a new season often require deeper purity, because what is coming carries greater weight than what is past. If you feel me still touching certain places within your heart, do not be afraid. If I still remind you to release a little pride, a little impatience, a little need to be understood immediately, do not resist. I am not taking something from you. I am making your soul lighter so you can carry something weightier in grace. Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Hebrews 12:1. You cannot enter a spacious season while old cords are still wrapped around your feet. So I loosen them with love. Stand firm, my beloved, not with the hardness of one who must defend themselves, but with the endurance of one who knows they are being held. Keep your heart pure, not because you are afraid of losing blessing, but because you love me more than anything I could give. Continue in faithfulness, not to purchase a reward, but because faithfulness is the language of love between you and me. What you have sown with tears will not remain forever in the dark soil. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Psalm 126:5. And when the harvest comes, you will understand that no tear was useless, no long night was forgotten, and no act of obedience vanished into empty space. I am drawing near to you in the very thing you thought was silence. I am working in the very place you thought was stillness. I am arranging in the unseen realm what will gradually touch your visible life. There are encounters being prepared. There are doors whose hinges are being reset. There are words once delayed that are moving toward their appointed time. There are things you could not connect on your own that I am weaving together with faithful hands. But first, I keep you near me, because revelation without nearness can leave the soul dry. I want you to enter the new season not as one demanding to be seen, but as one who has been formed, not as one chasing glory, but as one who carries glory with humility. Then you will see, my beloved child, I was never silent in the way you feared. My silence was not absence, but the depth of a work being completed. I was never distant in the way your pain told you I was. I have remained nearer than breath, nearer than thought, nearer even than the prayers you had not yet spoken. And what I have long seen in you, faithfulness in the night, tenderness in pain, obedience in the place no one knew, is moving toward the day it will be revealed. Not so that you may be exalted apart from me, but so that through you my name may shine. Be at peace. Dawn has begun. The book is opening. The season of reward is no longer a distant echo. It is drawing near in my holy rhythm. And when it comes, you will bow your head and know that every moment of waiting has been transformed by me into glory.